One Piece: The Legend of Creation, Chapter 521-540. 521, The Origin of Godmother. Okay, it's wonderful, this kind of spiritual pressure is really true. Zengeki Kenpachi made Kuchiki Jinling's death once and was shocked at the same time. I didn't expect that even under such a big gap, Zanaki Kenpachi could still laugh. He could see that Zengmu Janpachi was not pretending, but was really happy. Have you seen it? The Blood Demon Temple is full. This is the essence of my solution. All the tricks and attacks I made just now are for this evaluation. As Team Zero, you should know that there are some Zanpakuto or possessors of strange abilities in the world that violate the power of the gods. Kenpachi Zaraki's words changed Vivi's expression on Kuchiki Jinling's face. He was right, even Aizen knew about these things, and as a member of Team Zero, of course he also knew. And he can understand more clearly than Aizen what these abilities that can invade the realm of God or Zanpakuto mean. If these Zanpakuto or abilities are good support, if they are used in combat, the attack is terrifying. Could it be? Kuchiki Jinling seemed to have thought of something, and there was a hint of viciousness and jealousy in his eyes, looking at the thing beside Zengi Kenpachi that was originally just a hilt, but now it has quietly turned into a hilt. A huge blood-colored giant sword made him realize that he might be in some trouble next. I really didn't expect Kenpachi, the god of death, who is said to not be able to liberate the Zanpakuto. Not only can he liberate the Zanpakuto, but his ability can even invade the realm of the gods. It's really unbelievable. Sci-fi Yuan Yi said, but her tone was very calm. There was no envy or jealousy because of Zakagi Kenpachi's words. Not even the slightest emotional fluctuations appeared, surprisingly calm. It seems that Zanpakuto with such abilities is not uncommon to her at all, and there are only 8,000 Ryu, Lu Chengkong and Zibo Kong who are close sisters. Hearing that the three of them look at each other Isho, it seems that only the three of them truly understand Yi. Why it behaves like this. Take the move. What really gives my Zanpakuto the power to invade the realm of the gods is this move, the Prison Blood Demon. Zanpakujian's figure flashed, and he charged directly with a mountain-like pressure. To Kuchiki Jinling, the Zanpakuto in his hand did not know when it merged with the blood-colored giant sword around him, making the blood-colored giant sword even more intense. With Kasaragi Kenpachi Ikki, Kuchiki Jinling only felt as if he was being held down by the entire space. Obviously, at his own speed, he could completely shoot through the attack of Kazaki Kenpachi, but this was one of the Prison Blood Demon breaks. Ability, unless you have the ability to break through space and travel through different spaces. Otherwise, there is no way to escape, and the space fortress in the world of death, the world law is extremely strong, far exceeding the world of One Piece, King of Pirates countless times. It is extremely powerful to be able to distort the space. At least so far Lu Chengkong I've never heard of a god of death that can shatter space. It is not easy to even make a little space crack. After all, the stronger the space fortress and the law of the world in this world, the faster he can repair space and time. In many cases, even if you have cracked space strength. But the strange thing is that you haven't cracked the space has already repaired itself. So there must be a force stronger than the space repair speed to crack and smash the space. In an instant, the blood-colored giant sword became more than 10 times larger than its original appearance. A huge blood-colored giant sword directly slammed the entire body of Jinling into the ground with a heavy pressure. At the same time, the blade of the blood-colored giant sword also pressing him tightly, he hit the ground with a bang, and the powerful force created a huge pit in the ground of Saranjay. Hey, the attack is coming now. Zaragi Kenpachi grinned Isho, and suddenly a large area of blood shone violently, like a volcanic eruption, and countless blood chi burst out from the deep pit in an instant, forming a huge ray of blood. The incomparable blood-colored beam of light shot straight into the sky, and the energy contained in the terrifying blood-colored beam of light had completely devoured the dead wood Jinling who was in it. And this move can be said to be the strongest blow of Zakagi Kenpachi. Originally, he had paid a great price to gain the power to fight against the death god of Team Zero, and it did not last for a long time, so he burned blood. The price and the sacrifice of defense, When he was released from the prison blood demon, he saw that the age of the Deadwood family was hit as he imagined. Fell down. Captain Ace Chuan and Madaramu immediately rushed over. They didn't care who Zaraki Kenpachi was fighting, they only had their captain in their hearts, and they caught Zaraki Kenpachi without making him very miserable. There is a close contact on the ground, but the surroundings are already in a mess. Because the entire Seraiti has been destroyed by Zaraki Kenpachi, fortunately, the Shinigami inside can't bear the battle here for a long time, so he withdrew from Seraiti early in the morning. Down. Mo, godmother, look at Inoe's ability. She definitely has the potential to inherit your medical career. Lu Chengkong's words immediately shook the nearby Shengjing La Chunchui and others to the point where one Buddha was born and two Buddhas ascended into the sky. When did Lu Chengkong have a godmother? And she was still a flower, but it was normal to think about it. Lu Chengkong and Ba Qinliu's relationship to outsiders is that of brother and sister. Then the younger sister is the goddaughter of Maojawali, and Lu Chengkong is justified to be the godson, but just looking at Lu Chengkong's cramping in the corners of his eyes, we know that it should be the high-pressure tactics of Maojawali. Yeah, Mao Zihualai nodded solemnly. He thought it was very interesting to call Lu Chengkong. At first, he thought it was very interesting, let alone Lu Chengkong. Even she herself didn't think about it. She wanted to recognize Lu Chengkong as her godson. After all, a little witch of the 8,000 streams was enough for her to toss. Here's the thing, a few days ago, when Lu Chengkong brought Bakion Ryu and Inoue Orihime to look for Unoka Lai, after Bakion Ryu and Uno no Flower Lai had some reminiscences, Lu Chengkong went to Inoue Orihime for him. The introduction, and then the thought of getting acquainted, may be the reason for the compassionate, warm spring-like smile and temperament of Uno Hanalai. Inoue Orihime, who was a little timid at first, quickly regained her true nature. While chatting, Inoue Chiangji heard that Yachianryu called Unoka Lai as a mother, so she threw a sentence very normal, huh? Teacher Chengkong, Yachianryu is your sister, why? She calls Aunt Maojawali a mother, but you are called the captain. Shouldn't you be called a godmother? 522 Inoue Orihime takes action. At that time, Lu Chengkong almost spit out all the food in his mouth when he heard the word, godma. It was not because it was unacceptable to ask Maojawali to be a godmother. On the contrary, Maojawali secretly helped Bakion many times. Lu Chengkong was also very comfortable because of Lu's care and guidance, as well as the warm and inclusive aura she brought to him like a mother. But the problem is the title, godmother. This title is normal for other people, but for Lu Chengkong, who once lived on Earth, it is an unintentional and crooked idea. Is it understandable to take the godmother apart? What about his own mother, Ujawali? Once this ambiguity appeared, it would startle Lu Chengkong. Originally, he just thought that this was just a joke of Inoue Orihime, and Isho dismissed it after hearing it. Unfortunately, what Lu Chengkong didn't expect was that the 8,000 rumors of Ujawali were the first. The time jumped out, shouted hello, and even danced. Obviously, she had always had this plan, but she couldn't find the opportunity to speak. Now that Orihime Inoue had the opportunity, how could the arrogant 8,000 Ryu let it go? So under her coquettishness, seeing Lu Chengkong's appearance in Lu Chengkong's strange expression and Maojawali, she felt amused for a while, and she didn't know which muscle was twitching. Maybe she also felt that seeing Lu Chengkong this expression is very funny, and it may be because of Ba Qinliu's coquettish request, she has some love for Ba Qinliu. In the end, Lu Chengkong smiled and nodded under the dark face of Mao Jihualai, but it was not a hallucination. Lu Chengkong always felt that the back of her smile was not the gentle mother's smile just now, but the black-bellied and vicious tongue. Smiling, Lu Chengkong seemed to see that there was a black-bellied demon emperor hidden behind this smile. However, Lu Chengkong felt even more that Maojawali felt the expression when he called her a godmother because of her very strange appearance. He thought it was very interesting, so he agreed, but Lu Chengkong and Maojawali didn't know. Because of Orihime Inoue's joke, and the efforts of Yakion Ryu, it should have been very difficult for the two sides to have much interaction, and two people like who became lovers would actually go further to a certain destination because of this. And it is precisely because of a godmother as an introduction that the two began to have an intersection in the future. Ah, can I? Inoue Orihime said a little unconfidently. You can, trust me, do it boldly, and even if you can't do it, you haven't seen Mao. Is the godmother still there? I don't know if it was an illusion. Every time Lu Chengkong said these two words, he felt a pleasant smile on the corner of Mao Jihuli's mouth, and it was precisely because of this that Lu Chengkong was even more determined that Mao Jihuli liked to use himself to open a brush before he smiled and nodded, agreeing and even forcing him to call her that. However, Lu Chengkong didn't feel uncomfortable in his heart. After all, as an orphan, how could anyone not want to have a caring mother? But Mao Jihuli's body was warm, compassionate, and full of tolerance. His temperament made Lu Chengkong feel as if he had returned to his mother's embrace. It's just that I didn't expect that the relationship between myself and Ujiwali came to be like this. It's a little uncomfortable, but I don't know why. It may be the reason why he liked Ujiwali very early in the morning. When he watched Death, he was the first when he saw the figure of Ujiwali, he deeply remembered her. So after she came to this world, besides Bachenliu, what she wanted to see the most was this Mao Jihuali, so every time Lu Chengkong said the word godmother, a pair of himself and Mao Jihua would appear in his mind involuntarily. Lai hey picture. Especially when he learned from Yachinliu that Ujiwali's busty figure hidden under an exaggerated robe was not inferior to Matsumoto's Ranju, it made Lu Chengkong a little crazy. And I have to say that Lu Chengkong was also a bit contradictory in his heart. Yes, maybe it's both. If you want to have a mother like Ujiwali, and want to have a wife like Ujiwali, if you want to have both, you can't have enough capital. However, Lu Chengkong is very confident in himself. He believes that he can absolutely do it, but he has all this in his heart. Apart from the fact that now is obviously not the time, he also wants to enjoy the feeling and process of godmother and godson. It's not that simple to think that it is easy to get Mao Jihuali. If you think that you can rely on strength alone, then you are wrong. It takes a lot of luck and opportunity for this kind of strange woman to get her heart and body. Yeah, with Lu Chengkong's encouragement, Inoue Orihime was no longer so nervous and unconfident, and took a deep breath, not realizing that her full body was rising and falling with her breathing. He pinned Lu Chengkong's gaze completely on her chest. Shuangtian Gaiden Shun Ying, Xiao Chong, I refuse. Inoue Orihime said in a coquettish voice. The 6 flowers opened a barrier, and the Zaraki Kenpachi who needed to be protected was restored at an alarming speed to the one before the destruction incident. Condition. This ability. Mao Jihuali's eyes flashed a ray of light. Maybe this ability is insufficient in terms of attack, speed, defense, etc., but the potential of this repair technique alone cannot be tolerated. I underestimate it. If I add my own guidance, even if Inoue Orihime can't reach her own level, it won't be too far behind. How is it, godmother? The medical apprentice I found for you is not bad. Lu Chengkong said proudly. Maybe he didn't notice it himself, and even Mao Jihuali didn't pay attention. It was originally arranged by Bachenliu at the beginning. But it was more of a joke and a change of name. They felt that it was nothing big or small, but the two of them were unconsciously and subtly changing. At first, it felt weird to be called a godmother, but Lu Chengkong, who always had a depressing image in his brain, gradually became more and more natural, as if the two were really close. And Ujiwali thought it was very funny at first, and thought it was not bad. She just wanted to satisfy Bachenliu and take a look at Lu Chengkong for entertainment. Ujiwali also gradually began to get acquainted with it. Lu Chengkong's name. It might be fine now, but if the two keep going over time, add something exciting. For example, if we share adversity, but don't fly away from each other, it is very likely that it will be completely transformed into a true heartfelt, just like the pure mother-daughter, mother-son relationship between Ujiwali and Yachienryu without a trace of acrobatics maybe. Of course, it all depends on the future opportunities and Lu Chengkong's approach, whether he can grasp it. 523 Night Shot. The strength of her spiritual pressure has a lot to do with it. If she becomes a god of death and specializing in spiritual pressure, it may be because of her peculiar ability. Her Zanpakuto may also become a pure healing Zanpakuto in the Ghost Dao system. In that case, with the ability of her instant shield Liuhua, her healing ability will be even stronger. It really deserves to be Maujawali. Outsiders watch the fun, insiders watch the doorway. Unokalai just took a look at Inoue Orahime's ability and judged everything about her and even designed the best growth path for her. Even Lu Chengkong had to say a word in his heart, what he did. Mom is really not easy, but I don't know when I will really do the same as the name, and complete the great cause of drying, Mom. Boom. Just when Orihime Inoue was suffering from serious injuries on Kenpachi's body due to burning blood, the whole earth seemed to tremble. With a loud noise, a person appeared in the deep pit on the top of the roof, with burns all over his body. Dressed in a beggar's outfit, with a burning head, he looked like a beggar gang member rather than a god of death. Okay, that's great, you actually dare to treat the traitors of the Soul Society. Damn it, that's right, this person is officially Kuchiki Jinling, although the last trick of Zengi Kenpachi is super powerful and can be used as the pinnacle of death. The strength of Zengi burst out the destructive power of hurting the members of Team Zero, but Zaraki Kenpachi is indeed a big gap compared to Kuchiki Jinling after Swastika, and the difference in Reiatsu alone is 15 times as much. Even if the Zanpakuto is strong, if the god of death itself is not strong enough, it will not work. If the god of death is strong enough, even a random wooden sword will have the power to open the sky and the earth, just like the original Ujawali. At one point, Lu Chengkong's 6 Aohan tactics were broken. Kang. Kuchiki Jinling slashed at Orihime Inoue, who was still healing and her strength was already low, and it was impossible for him to respond. At this moment, Yaiki appeared beside Orihime Inoue like a ghost in the dark night. I don't know where I took out a Zanpakuto and blocked Kuchiki Jinling's sword. My husband said that Orihime Inoue was protected by me when she was in the Soul Realm, and I don't want to disappoint her. After getting along with these places, her feelings for Lu Chengkong have been promoted to a level that cannot be described in the world's words. The point is, directly speaking, is sublimation. Beyond the so-called limit of love in the world, talking about husband in front of so many people doesn't change his face at all, but it seems very natural. Kuchiki Jinling was so angry that he didn't expect so many gods of death to oppose him again and again, making him feel that Team Zero no longer had the majesty it used to be. Otherwise, why would so many gods of death dare to swing their knives at them? However, at this time Kuchiki Jinling didn't have time to think too much. His only thought now was to kill Zakagi Kenpachi, the god of death who brought him endless shame. Anyone who blocked him would die. Those who block me will die. Kuchiki Jinling's Zanpakuto immediately increased his strength, and he could see that Saifeng Courtyard Yei was only on the same level as Zengi Janpachi. He didn't believe that Saifeng Yuan Yaiki also possessed the same Zanpakuto that violated the power of God's domain like Zanpaku Kenpachi. After all, this Zanpakuto was extremely rare. He had only seen 2 of them in all his years of existence. Among them is the one that includes Kenpachi Zakagi in front of him. It's a pity that sometimes things are so wonderful. Sometimes there are several extremely rare Zanpakuto at the same time, and sometimes there is not even one for thousands of years. I saw Saifeng. Yuan Yi snorted coldly. The Zanpakuto in his hand has quietly changed without uttering Shikai's liberating words, from a Zanpakuto that is a little longer than a normal dagger to a whole body as black as ink, which looks like a famous Chinese sword. The Longyuan sword is very similar to the weapon, and the sword body gives people a feeling of lightness, beauty, dexterity and sharpness. I didn't expect that I would see Yaiki strike again. Her Zanpakuto ability is more frightening than Zanaki Kenpachi's in my opinion. Amazing inside story. It's no wonder that Saifeng Yuan's complexion didn't change at all when Yi saw the Zanpakuto of Zengi Kenpachi just now. It turns out that her Zanpakuto is no trivial matter, at least it belongs to the same level as Zanpakutaki's. And Ting Shiba Sora's tone seemed to her to be more powerful than Zanaki Kenpachi's. I didn't expect Yi to shoot, now there's a good show to watch. I originally wanted to shoot, but now Kuchiki Jinling was injured and had a fight with Kenpachi, so now Yi fights against him again and again. Harmony is likely to defeat him, or even behead him. Even Lu Chengkong said so. Jingo Chunchui and others were even more curious, to know that they had never seen Saifeng Yuan Yiki's Zanpakudo, let alone liberated, even Zanpo in an unsolved state. The knife has not been taken out to show them. It's no wonder that the original Yiki never uses her Zanpakudo. Apart from her strength, she doesn't need to use her Zanpakudo at all, and if her Zanpakudo is used, it's really easy to be seen and unstoppable. Invite envy. Lu Chengkong sighed secretly. This world is really wonderful. Animation is animation after all, and many places are indeed incomparable with reality. Strange, her spiritual pressure has not changed in the slightest, but why does it always give me a creepy feeling? Kuchiki Jinling glanced at the unique Zanpakudo in Yi's hand that he had never seen before. After all, Chinese Longyuan, the shape of the sword, is indeed very rare in the world of death, just like Lu Chengkong's Snowdrink Crazy Saber and Magic Saber, it is unique. Take a taste of my dark power, Jian Wu. Saifeng Yuan's body flashed, although her spiritual pressure did not change after Shikai, but if you look closely, she will find her strength, speed, physical coordination, toughness, etc. have been qualitatively improved in all directions. It seems that Yiki is integrated with the Zanpakudo named Ningen in her hand. She seems to be very slow, and she can even see every movement of Saifeng Yuan Yiki. It seems that she is not fighting, but dancing the sword. That wonderful dance, with her unparalleled body flexibility and coordination, looks very beautiful, making people unconsciously intoxicated, even forgetting the murderous intent in the sword dance and indulging in the sword dance of death. Among them, cannot extricate themselves. Even if the strength is much stronger than Yi at this time, even the Deadwood Jinling will be lost for a while. After all, Saifeng Yuan Yi's move was released against him, so it is only natural that he feels the deepest. 524 Night 1 Bankai. It's not good, it's actually a sword dance that captivates people's hearts. To use such an attack on me, who has an illusion-type Zanpakudo, stupid, let you see what real terror is. The first dream, the gallery of mirrors. As expected of the Shinigami possessing the hallucination-type Zanpakudo, he woke up almost at the same time as he lost his mind, and even the blade of Yiki's slow-moving sword dance pierced his glue and released an attack. I saw that the sky-blue petals that had disappeared for a long time appeared again, but after these petals appeared, they formed a lot of mirrors around Yi, which trapped Yi. His eyes were cloudy, and there was no light. Obviously, Yi suffered a similar spiritual attack and fell into a world of hallucinations. The Zanpakudo of the hallucination system is indeed a bit tricky. If you find a way to be firm, you can make the opponent suffer the backlash of hallucinations in minutes. Otherwise, you will fall into the world of hallucinations forever. Lu Chengkong sighed inwardly. He didn't make a move, because he had already seen the mystery of this move. Outsiders couldn't attack. Those mirrors would be easy to break if attacked from the inside, but it would be difficult to attack from the outside. Even if it is broken, it is useless. Yi can't get out of the other party's hallucination attack. Even if Lu Chengkong will be rescued, it will not help, and Lu Chengkong believes in Yi's mind. No one knows Yi's heart better than him. How firm. Just like she was aimless at first, it was not worth it to outsiders. With no future at all, she actually abandoned the so-called dignity of aristocrats and the restraint of her daughter's family. Discouraged. Time is a measuring instrument to determine whether a person's heart is firm enough. Lu Chengkong felt that if Yiki passed this Kuchiki Jinling's Zanpakudo ability test, it would be of great help to his future achievements, at least he would not let his own. The mind is controlled by power. As long as Yi succeeds this time, if he breaks the illusion, returns to the world and then uses the spirit control gloves to control the spirit sun to break the limit, Yi's achievements are limitless, and the speed of strength improvement is simply not an exaggeration, and it will definitely not be the dead wood inside. Something like Jin Ling can be compared. After all, if you don't have a state of mind that is unswerving and unaffected by the outside world, no matter how powerful you are, you can't control it, and after breaking the limit, Reaper or Shoes cultivation will no longer be the same as before. The 4 skills of Reaper: communicate with Zanpakuto, accumulate Reiatsu, is as simple as that, but the more important thing is the improvement of the realm and the improvement of the soul that Usual said. This illusion is the best place to improve the realm. It's useless. The first dream, the gallery of mirrors, will make you fall into the past, and re-experiencing everything you have experienced in the past. Everything is real in your hallucinations, and if you die in it, then your body will also die. And if you can't distinguish the real and the illusory from the hallucination, then even if you don't die in the hallucination, you will be permanently trapped in the hallucination world and cannot extricate yourself. When you completely think that the hallucination world is the real world, you will die along with it. This is what happens when you go against the gang. Quote. Kuchiki Jinling laughed, and immediately ignored Sifanyuan Yei. After all, although this move was strange and powerful, it also had some fly in the ointment. In addition to not letting other people interfere with Yei, there was also him. He can't actually attack Yoichi now. Is this the hallucination you're talking about? It's true for a second, and hallucination for 1,000 years, but I also want to thank you for letting me understand more deeply what my heart needs and cares about, which has improved my state of mind. Quote. When Kuchiki Jinling turned his head to prepare a knife to understand Zengi Kenpachi, Sifanyuan Yaiki's voice suddenly sounded like a thunderbolt, making his face change greatly. Impossible, how could you wake up so quickly? You haven't broken the limit of death and emptiness at all, and it is impossible for your soul to be strong enough to resist the attack of my Zanpakuto. You only survived a few hundred at most years. It is impossible to have such a state of mind that is like still water, undisturbed. Quote. As the owner of Zanpakuto, no one is more aware of the ability of his Zanpakuin trick than him. It only took Yi 3 seconds to wake up from the hallucination. It's terrifying. One's voice was different from the previous one. The strength has not changed, but her thousands of years of experience in the illusion world has made her state of mind as stable as a rock, making her soul seem to have been sublimated, and her voice has an ethereal, agile, and vicissitudes feeling. People, Naughty Night 1 is a little different. This is also just after 1,000 years of hallucination. Now there is still a dream for 1,000 years, and the feeling of flowers in the mirror will soon recover. After all, a person suddenly experienced 1,000 years that others did not have. In life, when I came back to my senses, I found that the outside world was only a second, and of course it couldn't be recovered in an instant. HMPH, I am really grateful for your help from the hallucination world, which made me get so many benefits out of thin air. Then I'll use my swastika to repay and send you to the west. Swastika, the dark sword of Tiansha. Sifunye flashed a cold light and murderous intent in his eyes, and the spiritual pressure suddenly soared tenfold. The body of the Tiansha darkness sword in his hand was filled with a layer of black light. It can be said that apart from the spiritual pressure and this slight change, other than that, Shikai and Wanwanya from Yoichi and Sifanyuan really look the same. Fast wind step. Sifanyuan Yei seemed to be one with the space, disappearing in front of Deadwood Jinling. HMPH, your strength is not comparable to me at all. You are actually trying to restrain your figure in front of me. Is it useful? Look at me. How could it be? I actually can't perceive it. Kuchiki Jinling smiled disdainfully at first. It's just that his smile soon stopped, as if he had eaten poop. Causes one strike. Doubles. Sifanyuan Yei suddenly appeared behind the Deadwood Jinling like a ghost, and the blade of the Tiansha dark sword shot a 3-inch long sword light directly to the Deadwood Jinling. The ability to stealth. The increased attack. It's a very troublesome ability, but if your strength is almost the same as mine, it's really troublesome. It's a pity that your strength is too weak. Kuchiki Jinling smiled confidently after being surprised. This was his confidence in his own strength, as well as his affirmation of Yaichi Zanpakuto. A huge defensive wall blocked Sifenjin Yaichi's blow 4 times. Where are you looking, you idiot, causing one blow to quadruple? 525 Assassin in the Sun. A dazzling and overwhelming scene appeared. It was clear that Yi Yi of Sifeng still maintained the posture of slashing and binding the 81st, breaking the sky, but another Sifeng appeared on the other side of the deadwood golden bell. On the night of the night, a heavenly demon and dark sword mixed with a terrifying sword light that was more than twice as strong as before slashed again towards the deadwood and golden bell. Don't think that you can get me by doing this. I said that the gap in strength cannot be made up by a Zanpakuto, Semeng Shuiwa. Kuchiki Jinling said a little angrily. He thought he would win, but he didn't expect that there would be another night here, and thinking of the horror that the Zanpakuto of Sifeng had brought to him just now, made him cautious. I saw that the blue petals around Kuchiki Jinling suddenly formed a large-scale rewash that looked like the waters, directly surrounding himself and Sifeng Yi, but outsiders obviously couldn't feel any water in this water. Moisture is obviously an illusion. Don't think that the illusion here is so simple. Everything in this water area is real. For example, the water waves are monstrous. Yes, to exaggerate it is that he has absolute control in this water area. As long as he wants to, anything can appear. The water and fire in the sky directly turned into waves of water waves with huge impact, which directly blocked Sifeng Yi's attack. Go to hell, the unknown god of death, the elemental giant. Kuchiki Jinling's attack this time was obviously full of strength, probably because he was afraid of the sense of danger that Sifeng Yi brought him, so he didn't want to let anything more accidentally appeared. It seems that a powerful life form has been bred in the waters, and this life form is a water element giant. When the water element giant reappeared, he immediately raised his water fist with a radius of at least 5 meters and smashed it on Sifeng Yi in an extremely violent way. You must know that water not only restrains fire, but also nourishes all things. In addition, there is another terrible thing about it. Just like the sea, when he is calm, it breathes countless lives, but once the sea is angry, the power that erupts can also destroy the sky and destroy the earth. Although this water element giant is not as exaggerated as when Da Haifeng was angry and violent, the impact force contained in his fist is still extremely terrifying, and it can completely destroy half of the Saranjay with one punch. With a bang, Sifeng Yi seemed to be bound by some kind of restraint. He stood there motionless and was punched into powder by the water element giant, leaving no trace. This is the fate of going against me. Now it's up to you, the captain of the 11th team. After confirming that there was no more life in the Sifeng Yi, the Deadwood Jinling laughed alone and disbanded the waters. He walked towards Saragi Kenpachi in a victorious posture, while proclaiming to the god of death in the corpse soul world. High wind step plus caused attack 8 times. The gods of death except Lu Changkong, Mao Zhawali, Ba Chenliu, and Zibo Kong thought that Sifeng Yi was dead, and broken be even more so. When he rushed over and died with Kuchiki Jinling, Sifenjin Yiki's cold voice floated in the sky above Saranjay, making Kuchiki Jinling's face change dramatically. Terrifying spiritual power fluctuations suddenly came out from behind him, and it was too late when he had to react. Although his strength was better than that of Yuichi's Zanpakuto ability was very useful. Plus, Sifeng Yi has completely mastered the rhythm of the entire battle, and almost has to lead Deadwood Jinling by the nose. He thought that Sifeng Yi was dead, so he had no defense at all. Let Sifeng Yi succeed one by one. And what is more important is that Sifeng Yi's attack already contains the power to severely damage the members of Team Zero. With mental calculation and determination, plus enough power, there is also the final sneak attack. Sifeng Yi's heavenly demon and dark sword mixed with the 5-inch sword glow formed by continuous compression directly penetrated the heart of the Deadwood Golden Bell. You actually didn't die. Deadwood Jinling glared angrily. Bloodshot eyes covered with bloodshot eyes. His tone was terrified. He didn't believe it, but it was a pity that even if he was so powerful, he was directly pierced by such a powerful sword glow. When he broke his body, the terrifying spiritual power fluctuations instantly plunged into the sword light and ravaged and destroyed the body of the Deadwood Jinling, so that he only had time to leave a sentence full of unwillingness and then died directly. Yi is really good. Zibo Kong saw his sister's great power, which can be said to be a leapfrog challenge, although Kuchiki Jinling had already fought against Zengi Kenpachi before, and he was also injured, and the consumption was not high. Small, but Yi was able to kill Kuchiki Jinling with such a big gap. This is indeed a very remarkable record. Huh, stupid guy, the 2 attacks just now were just my mirror clones. You attacked, just to lead you into the game and make you think that the one who was killed is me. You are the most proud and the least. I'll take another shot when I'm unprepared. Oh. I almost forgot, you don't know that I am the former captain of the 2nd Division, the ruler of Xingjun, and the head of the Saifeng Yuan family, otherwise you will not despise me so much, Saifeng Yuan sighed softly at night, and a trace of exhaustion flashed on her stunning face. Obviously, the infinitely compressed single attack just now consumed a lot of energy. It seems that the ability she used just now is not a big deal, but if you think about it carefully, miss. The combination of these abilities seems to be integrated with the space, so that the enemy who is so much stronger than himself can't detect him. Therefore, the first attack after stealth can launch a double attack. It can make its own attacks explode into 2, 4 times, 8 times at will. I don't know if there is a fatal blow above the 8 sails, and it has the ability to confuse the enemy's sight like a real person, and at the same time, it has a strong combat power. Use a mirror image of the main body. The combination of all these can completely make Saifeng Yuan Yi a king who can perform a perfect assassination in frontal combat, rather than an assassin who can only walk in the dark. What is even more terrifying is that no one knows about Saifeng until now. In addition to these 3 abilities, Yuan Yi has hidden more terrifying abilities, but judging from her self-confidence and calm expression from beginning to end, it can be seen that she obviously has a bigger trump card. You're right, this guy is an idiot, and he is pitiful enough. As one of the 4 major families, the Kuchiki clan, if he knew that you were Saifeng Yuan Yi, he would never have dared to despise you like that. Who doesn't know that the captain of the 2nd Division in the past dynasties of the Xingjun, the patriarch of Saifeng Yuan, is the god of death who is best at assassination, often able to assassinate the god of death that is far stronger than himself, and you, Saifeng Yuan Yi, surpass the patriarchs of all dynasties. Is the strongest assassin, and has the reputation of the assassin under the sun. Zibo Kong glanced at the dead Kuchiki Jinling with disdain and said with a smile. 526 Devouring Deadwood Golden Bell. Assassin in the Sun, yes, this nickname was given to Yi by the people of the Patriarch of Saifeng Yuan. Anyone with a bit of common sense knows that if an assassin is found to be miniature and exposed to the sun, no matter how strong his strength is at least half weaker. But for countless years, Saifeng Yuan, a family that is proficient in assassination, has emerged, a family that transcends the limits of assassins, and overcomes the weakness that the only assassin cannot reveal his identity and let the enemy die in ignorance, and even it can turn the darkness of the sun into a weapon of its own. It will not affect the display of strength due to exposure to the sun. On the contrary, just like the assassin in the dark night that no one knows about, the sun has become a weapon to hide the figure like the darkness. So even if it is known that he is the strongest assassination god, it doesn't matter. Because she Saifeng Yuan Yi is an assassin under the sun, even if you know she is an assassin and you are still standing in front of you, she can still assassinate you, just like the battle just now. Saifeng Yuan Yi's weak wins over the strong, leaping challenge. In the battle below, under the sun, he assassinated the Deadwood Jinling, who was obviously stronger than himself. Assassin in the sun. It turns out that Lord Yi still has such a reputation. I really deserve to be Lord Yi. I was really arrogant before. I thought that after hard training in my Zanpakudo, I surpassed Lord Yi. Now look at it. I have always been the frog in the well, and Yi Da is the king of assassins. Quote. Saifeng Yuan looked at Saifeng Yuan Yi with admiration, and Saifeng Yuan Yi's scalp felt numb. After all, her sexual orientation is very normal, and she also has a husband. It's really uncomfortable to look at it like that. You're tired, you did a good job, you really deserve to be my knight one. Lu Chengkong said softly, holding the tired Saifeng Yuan knight in his arms. Yeah, Sifeng Yuan hummed contentedly, and the little bee, like a docile kitten, snuggled up in Lu Chengkong's arms under her tender eyes, as if she was looking for a more comfortable position. Lu Chengkong's arms arched. From Sifeng Yuan Ye's point of view, her greatest happiness and happiest thing is to get a word of satisfaction, appreciation, and joy from Lu Chengkong like now, and to give herself a sense of security and make herself eager to stay in it forever. Hug, chest. This is Yi's greatest happiness and what she yearns for the most. She is always a woman who can be easily satisfied when facing her man, and Lu Chengkong obviously likes this kind of Yi very much. Hey, I said Chengkong, you'd better stop making out now. What should I do now? Kenpachi can destroy the entire Saranjay just now. Although old man Yamamoto was defeated by you, he won't care about your affairs, but this is not very good. What we are going to fight is the 46th room and the nobles behind them and Aizen to settle accounts. If we let the virtual circle know that Seoringay is destroyed, it is likely to attack Seoring in a big way. Tings. That's right, whether it's the Masked Legion or Kuchiki Shanghai, they all hate the nobles and the people in the 46th room, etc. But in the Seoul Society, in addition to the nobles, there are those civilians living in Liuhun Street. They used to be the same. As a member of the civilian population, it is impossible to be a human being, and they do not want to let the civilians of the entire Seoul Society be attacked by a virtual circle because of themselves and others. It's simple, control the spirit child. Lu Chengkong made a cut, and pressed one hand on the body of the dead Kuchiki Jinling. Under the astonished eyes of Hirako Mako and others, Kuchiki Jinling's body had turned into a speed that was visible to the naked eye. The naked eye can see a very strong spiritual child. He is already dead. Without the spiritual power he controls in his body and his soul, he will sooner or later turn into a spiritual child of the soul world. But if other gods of death use these human spiritual children to rebuild the soul world, it takes a lot of time, it's the future. Quote. Lu Chengkong is not a selfless person either. Hirako Mako Kuchiki Shanghai and others are born commoners, but he and Bachinliu and Zhengmu Kenpachi are not. They live in the cannibal area of Zhengmu and Kaolu. It can be said that it is a hell on earth, full of killing, sin, and blood all the time, so even if the civilians in the soul realm die, he doesn't care. Because he was not from this world at first, he didn't have any sense of belonging. He did this entirely for the sake of Zibo Kong, Hirako Mako and others. After all, the Fabo family lived in Liuhun Street many years ago. For most of the kind-hearted people in Liuhun Street, they still have a little sense of belonging, and they didn't want to make them feel bad, so Lu Chengkong took action. With Lu Chengkong's control, the spirit child he has in his body for so many years to break the limit of death and imaginary with the Deadwood Golden Bell is of course very huge, and the buildings and so on of the Saranjay rebuilt with his everything will definitely become more and more sturdy. Soon, after Hirako Mako and the others and countless gods of death were in awe and admiration, the ruined Saraiti could be rebuilt into a building at a speed visible to the naked eye. There is no different building outside. As expected of the god of death who has broken the limit and cultivated for at least more than 300 years, he has broken through an unknown number of shackles. He only used half of the spiritual sun he transformed into to rebuild the Saranjay, then the remaining half I am disrespectful to spiritual power. Quote. Don't forget, after Lu Chengkong broke the limit, in addition to possessing the ability to control the spiritual child and all the abilities of the virtual, of course he also has the characteristic of the virtual, swallowing. With this ability, Lu Chengkong can save on the accumulation of spiritual pressure. For a lot of time, it was precisely because of this that Lu Chengkong's spiritual power increased so quickly. Devouring. Lu Chengkong shouted in his heart. The remaining spiritual child that belonged to the rotten wood golden bell has been absorbed by Lu Chengkong, but although only half of this spiritual child is left, it is still extremely large. Lu Chengkong, I had to close my eyes to concentrate on absorbing the spiritual child that enters your body, convert this spiritual child into spiritual power at an astonishing speed, and then keep compressing, compressing and compressing. It is worth reaching the limit that can be achieved so far before integrating into your own spirit force inside. Just when Lu Chengkong closed his eyes to absorb this spirit child, Bachinliu jumped off Lu Chengkong early, put away his innocent smile, and put on an armed expression, very alert. Protect the law for Lu Chengkong. It's really careful, but that's fine. Be careful to sail the Wanian ship. Even if there is no chance that someone will attack Lu Chengkong tomorrow, this is just in case. Lu, it's always a good thing to be careful in a world where the strong eat the weak. If Baekhyun Lu is careless, she'll be a little more cautious. 527 Sky Crane presents Small Chrysanthemums. Husband, thank you, Zibo Kong said to Lu Chengkong while lying in Lu Chengkong's arms like a little daughter. Fool, since I'm your husband, of course I have to fulfill your wish. Lu Chengkong hihi isho, it's been a week since the battle with Kuchiki Jinling. This week in Jingle Chunchui and others they persuaded the old man Down Yamamoto to sit back in the commander-in-chief again and no longer mention the matter of retirement, and thanks to their efforts, the Seoul Society soon returned to normal operation. Of course, this can be said to be a new Saranjay, and it is not unchanged. At least in the eyes of the souls of the world, the four supreme nobles have changed. The Kuchiki family has been completely exterminated. In addition to the name, of course, the families behind the so-called great sages in the 46th room were all killed by Lu Chengkong. Now, the people with the greatest power and prestige in the Seoul Society are the Saifengyuan family of Saifengyuan Yei and the Zibo family who have been relisted into the four major families. As for the Sha Dalu family, although they are called the Four Nobles, their power is actually controlled by Lu Chengkong took it away. It can be said that in addition to the mysterious spirit King Space, most of the power in the Soul world is now in Lu Chengkong's hands, but he gave it to Zibo of Saifengyuan. Just home. It is precisely because of Lu Chengkong that the Zibo family re-emerged, and the limelight and prestige even overshadowed the Kuchimu family, which used to be the head of the so-called four major families, so Zibo Kong was moved after learning about this. Tears were shed. Although she doesn't care about the so-called power, she used to be the head of the Zibo family after all, and of course she wants the Zibo family to restore their former prestige, but after becoming Lu Chengkong's wife, she no longer cares about these trivial matters. He carefully helped himself to complete this little thing. Zibo Kong, who could not repay him, could only repay Lu Chengganong with his own body. Zibo Kong, who was wild enough in bed, was even more coquettish today. Not only did he serve Lu Chengkong with his little mouth, but he even offered up all his little chrysanthemums. Yi admired the madness of the nympho when he saw it. You must know that the one who is most comfortable in bed belongs to Shiba Sora and Matsumoto Ranju, and even though Yoichi can do that as well. However, she is usually not that crazy. Instead, she appears to be a little gentler. The proteinuria is the most embarrassing, because every time she fights in bed, Saifengyuan Yei's movements are the most complicated and superb. Who made her a master of Bai Shunbu? There is nothing to say about her physical coordination and flexibility. No matter how difficult it is, she can easily pose in any direction and position without getting hurt at all. On the contrary, it is trivial for Yi. Therefore, every night of bed fighting is the most thunderous, and at the same time, the most shy, but because she really loves Lu Chengkong, her enemy, her request is even a shame for Saifengyuan. Yi will do it without reservation and without a trace of dissatisfaction. If you really want to repay me, do this every time in the future. Lu Chengkong said, and gave him another push. The giant dragon still buried in the little chrysanthemum of Zibo Kong immediately began to work again, and Zibo Kong was lost first. With a blank eye, his legs immediately clamped Lu Chengkong's waist, twisting like a water snake. As if they were about to drain Lu Chengkong, the pair of adulterers once again started to work hard under the eyes of Saifengyuan Yaiki, who was already satisfied and enjoying the aftermath of the climax. The next morning, Lu Chengkong climbed out of the **** surrounded by Yi and Kong He very punctually. After taking a shower and putting on his clothes, he began to practice without change. After all, practice there is no so-called shortcut along the way. Perseverance is the kingly way. Hey, Chengkong, you are so powerful, do you still need to be so diligent? After Lu Chengkong completed Shunpo's practice, Hiroko Mako, who was lazy and casual, didn't know when or where he came out and said, "Che, I seem to be lazy when I say it. I don't know who is accumulating spiritual pressure in the warehouse in the middle of the night." Lu Chengkong retorted, "Needless to say, there is only Lisa Yashumaru who lives in Kaoying and Han." Tell Lu Chengkong. Oh, Lisa is really, she betrayed me before I even got through the door." When Pingzi Junzi heard the words, he immediately said with a sad expression, as if Lu Chengkong had done something bad, "Don't talk nonsense, you guy doesn't sleep in your own bed, come to me and tell me something big." It's very simple, there is a serious vacancy in the leader of the soul world. In order to make up for the power of Seraiti and strengthen the deterrent to the virtual circle, Old Man Yamamoto has forgiven us those so-called sins back then, even in front of Seraiti's god of death. Apologize to us in person and let us come back as captains. I don't know what to do, so I'm here to ask your opinion." Hiroko Mako rubbed his head and said a little overwhelmed. After all, he knew that Old Man Yamamoto no longer had much power to protect himself and others. In addition, Aizen secretly fueled the flames. The soul world is against it, otherwise, you can only help yourself and others. In any case, Hiroko Mako and others, the leader and the deputy chief, were personally promoted and cultivated by Yamamoto, and they were more or less affectionate and kind. In addition, the old man Yamamoto admitted to the entire Seraiti in front of the death of the entire Seraiti regardless of his identity and restraint. He made a sincere apology, admitted his mistakes, and sincerely apologized to him, Hiroko Mako and the masked army Urahara Kazuki who was framed by Aizen, and sincerely asked them to come back to be captains, not warders, therefore, he didn't know what to do. The gentleness and sincerity of old man Yamamoto were not so pleasant. "Cut, I'm just used to wandering and freedom. It doesn't matter whether I live here or in this world. Anyway, I won't be a captain. It's more comfortable to be free. If you want to be a captain, be a captain." Lu Chengkong refused to say that when he was in the soul realm, it was not the first time that old man Yamamoto sent him an invitation, but he rejected them all without exception. "Actually, we also have some feelings for the soul world, but we have a grudge against the so-called nobles, the 46th room and the blue dye. I have also asked Shanghai, and I have also asked Kazuki when I went back to the world. There are Kensai and the others, except for Lisa and Naneo, who have asked you to decide and then say it again." Quote. Hearing this, Junzi Pingzi also made a decision in his heart. He just wanted to see if Lu Chengkong was disgusted with his and others' decisions. After all, they have survived for so many years, and they have experienced strong winds and waves, and they are more aware of the so-called power. The captain is just a cloud, and power and honor are easy to obtain, but brothers and comrades are hard to find in their lives. 528. Three girls come together. After making a decision, Lu Chengkong will of course return to the present world. First, he will bring Lisa Yazumaru and Naneo Eyes to his side, and of course help Orihime Inoue drop out of school. Inoue Orihime's Shundan Liuhua has since agreed to personally instruct her about healing. Of course, he also had to dismantle his confidants in this world, Landau and other women, as well as Nelieru, Halibal and their two women's officials. In the end, there is Stark who is no longer affected by loneliness. As for whether their identities are virtual and whether they will be attacked by Seraiti, Lu Chengkong does not need to worry at all. His hands are now distributed to his wives. To be precise, it should be in the hands of his wives. It's really interesting. I didn't expect that I lived in the Zai Palace in the virtual circle, and now I'm going to live in the Soul Palace in the Soul world. Life is so dramatic. Harabelle felt a little like waking up from a dream. For thousands of years, she had never heard of a vain and justifiable Seoringe living in the soul realm, but now the man in front of her did it. Yeah, but what kind of person is Seo Lingting? Nilan Elu pointed out a jade pointer on her pink little face and said very cutely. Nilu, come with me. Lu Chengkong's voice suddenly rang in Nellie's ears. The strange thing was that Halibal, who was standing beside her, didn't hear it at all. Ah, I see. Nellie L was taken aback at first, and Vivi, who had a very cute mouth, opened her mouth, looking inexplicably surprised, but she quickly nodded her head very cutely, and let Helly on the side. Belle looked at her a little puzzled. Hallible, I'm going to go first. Jong Kong doesn't know how to do it, and he can't show up here and transmit the voice to my ears, and you won't hear it, it's amazing. The more Nelly said, the more excited she became. Her beautiful eyes flashed with sparkling light, making Hallible a little speechless. That's how Nelly is. She is very similar to Bachenliu, and she is very simple and cute. Like a little girl. Coupled with her hot body, full of mature charm, that delicate and stunning baby face, she appeared from time to time in a very natural, unpretentious little girl's behavior, which made people couldn't help but hug her in her arms. Take a good pity in the arms. Nilu, I originally thought that if Nutra and Apollo designed a sneak attack on you that time, it would have pushed you to suffer a great disaster, and even your life achievements would be destroyed, but I didn't expect you to have such a lucky support. After that catastrophe, the symbol of spiritual power that has completely mastered itself will no longer be affected. Now he is also ahead of all of us. He has surpassed the 10th Blade Stark, and has completed his complete self-understanding. However, no matter how powerful you become, I, Harabel, will silently follow by your side. Absolutely, it won't get you into trouble. Maybe I should do something. Harabel looked at Nelly L's back with complicated eyes. Her eyes flashed with determination, as if she had made a decision. Obviously she was getting farther and farther away from Nelly L. Until now, she has completely grasped the influence of her spiritual power symbolizing sacrifice, and it can be said that she has also passed through the most dangerous period of her life as Vastord. There will be no loneliness like Stark in the original book or even want to die, listless and unwilling to do everything, and it will not be affected by Nelly L, making many great mistakes, and finally being attacked secretly. The fate of the broken mask. It can be said that every great void that reaches Vastor will have such a time period, which can be long or short, and is the period when all Vastors are most vulnerable to danger or even death. If the symbol of complete mastery of spiritual power cannot be successfully passed, one day will fall because of this, and Stark is the best example. Even the lucky surviving Nelly L will be ruined the achievement of a lifetime. Now Nelly L has reached the same level as Aizen, who just left the soul world, and has reached the peak of death and void before breaking the limit. Of course, Harabel knows that Nelly L is called using the method of controlling spirits. Assist in breaking the limit. I believe that Nelly L's strength will soar faster after today. She doesn't want to do this. She doesn't want to get further and further away from Nelly L. She doesn't mind sacrificing to protect Nelly L, but she will never allow herself. Her weak strength can't help Nelly Lu at all and can only be reduced to a meaningless sacrifice, so she decided to ask Lu Chenggong to help find a way today, even if she pays everything to keep up with Nelly L's footsteps. Chenggong, what do you want me to do? After so many years of getting along day and night, everyone here is as pure as an angel, who is innocent and kind but doesn't like to tease people like Yachenliu. Nelly Lu was very fond of him, and Lu Chenggong was no exception. It can be said that Nelly Lu is the same as Bachenliu. In Lu Chenggong's palace, there is absolutely everything for men and women, young and old, and no one can resist their charm. Of course, to help you break the limit, so you don't come again and again, of course to put the three of you together. That's right, it's not just Nelly L who wants to break the limit, but also the original book can make. Aizen couldn't help but take her spiritual power in person, but now they are at peace, and it is already horrified that they have not been taken away. The growth of people has reached the peak of emptiness and death like Nelly Lu, and it is no wonder that the original Aizen will do so. As for the remaining one, of course, it was Saifeng Yuan Yi, who had just returned from the Soul Realm to show his mighty power. Yike, you really hide deep enough. No wonder you never take out your Zanpakuto, so you are such an awesome Zanpakuto. Matsumoto Renku pretended that I was envious and I was very jealous, and said in a strange tone to Yoichi Safenjin, who is currently his biggest competitor and his good sister. Cut, how can I hide it deeply, but I have always used my shots. When I was about to make a shot, those gods of death or emptiness that I faced face to face were all cleaned up. Quote. Saifeng Yuan Yei automatically filtered Matsumoto Ranju's words, but instead, I looked like a master of my strength. Dugu seeks defeat and is lonely as snow, so Matsumoto Ranju rushed over in a fit of anger and performed itching tricks on Yei. Yi laughed out loud and begged for mercy. Then you two, let's play first. Lai Nilu, you are the best, just sit up obediently. With Lu Chengkong's eyesight, many years ago, he judged who they were based on the speed of progress of everyone around them. The first to reach the peak of the god of death and the virtual. So she used the spirit control gloves to find the most suitable way for them to form the spirit substructure, so it didn't take long to complete one. 529 Beyond Screto. Yeah, facing Lu Chengkong's praise that seemed to coax a child, Nellie Elu accepted it calmly, not only did not feel unhappy, but nodded happily and sat up obediently. At that time, you also saw what I did, concentrate on it, and no matter what happens, you must control the spiritual child you have transformed into. It is not enough to lose one. These are the essence of your strength. Lu Chengkong handed the spirit control gloves to Nellie Lu. Don't underestimate the table-like utensil she was sitting on. This thing was invented by Landau over the years. It is easier for a user who can sit on it and use the spirit control gloves to control the spirit child formed by a user with super powerful strength, and it takes a lot less effort. It can be said that if Landau had already obtained this device at that time, Chengkong didn't have to suffer so much. You must know that after that Lu Chengkong tested his own strength and then lay on the bed and slept for about a week. Obviously, the mental exhaustion was really huge, and it was more exhausting than 10 consecutive battles. I see. Nellie L's smile slowly closed, and changed into a familiar look, but it was still difficult to hide her amazing charm, but it made Nellie L from an innocent and pure one. The angel turned into a solemn, mighty, earnest knight in a blink of an eye. No matter what Nellie's character is, as long as she is a phantom, who doesn't want her strength to become stronger, it's just that they have different spiritual symbols and beliefs. Really, everything is inseparable from fighting words. Therefore, every phantom is actually belligerent, even Nellier and Hannibal are no exception, but their fighting spirit is different from Grimjow's power symbol destruction at the front and rear of the car. Fighting intent is in my heart. Released according to the actual situation, instead of seeing a powerful opponent like a phantom human, like Grimjow and rushing over to fight him, it is selective belligerence and fighting intent. With Lu Chengkong taking the lead as an example of the first experiment, the rigorous Nellie Lu was not as unfamiliar as Lu Chengkong at the beginning. On the contrary, there was a sense of familiarity, and those who wanted to come to her house had also simulated this situation a lot times. Seeing that Nellie L was gradually getting on the right track, Matsumoto Ranju and Shifunjin Yaiki and two girls who were fighting while they were quiet also quieted down. Female. It may be because of experience, or because Landau's new invention has shortened the time spent in the process of using the spirit control gloves. Nellie L, who has been transformed into a spirit child in the past few hours, reappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Strength has not changed in the slightest. However, the little bit of mask fragments on her head that were almost gone have disappeared, and no one who doesn't know will be able to tell whether the present Nellie L is a god of death or a human even if they look carefully. I will never confuse her with the vein, because now Nellie Lu can't see any symbol of vein at all, and the Zanpakudo in Kagyo's hand will subconsciously think that this is a goddess of death. It's such a wonderful feeling. I feel as if I'm no longer a ghost, nor a god of death or a human being, but a life form that transcends the three. Nellie L tilted her head, wrinkled. He frowned and thought for a while. Nilu, what level of emptiness are you now? Hannibal jumped out of nowhere, and looked at the god of death, who had no vacuous features at all, such as mask vacant holes and the like disappeared without a trace. Nellie Lu, who was following her, couldn't help but ask. I think I've surpassed Vastord, and I've reached the super premium, Screto, who is almost at the apex of the virtual circle. But because I use the gauntlet to break the limit. So I have the realm of Screto and even surpass almost all the potential to reach Screto's void, but right now I don't have the strength of Screto. But now there is no limit of death and emptiness. I think it won't take long for me to have the strength of Screto, even because my current soul structure is the most perfect. I think I may become beyond Screto. Great imaginary. It's amazing. No one thought that the always quiet, innocent Nellie Lou would suddenly throw out such a sentence, but seeing her serious expression, and everyone here knows her as a person, she will definitely not aimlessly. Not a person who can brag. Since she said that, it means she is so sure to do it. After all, she has all the excellent qualities of a perfect knight. She is definitely a person who does what she says. No, it should be false, that's right. It seems that my previous conjecture is correct. Nellie Lou's aptitude may really be the best existence in the virtual circle. Lu Chengkong secretly said in his heart that he really did not see the emptiness wrong, and he knew from watching the anime that she had never swallowed any emptiness since she got rid of Killian and became Achukas. But even so, she can still achieve Bastard's great emptiness in the original work. From this, it can be seen that her potential is extraordinary. At least Lu Chengkong has not heard of the void that does not need to be swallowed. Congratulations, Nilu. Hannibal happily gave Nelia a hug. That happy look was like the one that Nellie said was her. While Lu was happy, she was firmer in her own thoughts, no matter how hard she tried. At this speed, she will definitely be farther away from Nellie L. She will not help, and will even become a burden. She must follow Nellie L's footsteps and cannot let her have anything to do. Because since she was saved by Nellie L, and after getting along for a while, she has already decided in her heart that she has sacrificed her whole life for Nellie L. Hee, Hannibal, you can too, as long as you reach the pinnacle of death and emptiness, and then use the spirit control gloves to rebuild your most perfect soul, then your potential will also match mine. Likewise, there is also the possibility that it will become a big void beyond Screto. Quote. As Hannibal's good sister, Nellie L has been with Hannibal for hundreds of years. Of course, she knows Hannibal. She knows that this silly woman will sacrifice everything for herself, but she also knows that she can't persuade her. Harabel, just like no one can stop her from the person Nelluru wants to protect, so she can only tell Harabel what she thinks in her heart. 530 Go to Lan Island and Neon Dream. Nellie L's words are not intended to comfort Hannibal, she is also stating a fact. She is a female phantom who can't lie. It is true, self-comprehension to break the phantom of Jingxian or the potential of death as there are highs and lows. Otherwise, every emptiness can become the existence of Wang Shu, and every death god can become the leader of the Zero Squad and the existence of the Spirit King. So it is not a mess, and the potential is just a data indicating that a death god or a phantom may be. What level he has reached does not mean that he can really reach that point. Take One Piece King of Pirates Khalifa for example, is she well qualified? It's not necessarily bad. In CP9, she is also at the bottom of the list, but in the end, she has not become the top superpower of One Piece King of Pirates. Potential is a factor. But it is definitely not the most important factor. The combination of one's own efforts, chance, luck, and the last good fortune is the final factor that is destined to be a strong person. So Nellie L is telling Hannibal that because her current potential is not as good as her own, she will be discouraged if she can't keep up with her, or she will give up on a crooked path, and the cultivation path is useless even if there are natural resources and earthly treasures. If you can eat it for a while, it is impossible to eat it for a lifetime. The only way to persevere is to be king. The birth of the spirit control gloves can be said to be a very anti-sky but very tasteless treasure, but it can reverse the life potential of any death god or void, but there is a premise that the death god or void has reached the unbroken realm after all. The previous peak can only be used. So Nellie L just likes Hannibal. Don't be discouraged and must reach the peak. It doesn't matter how much time it takes. As long as you reach the peak, use the spirit control gloves to build the most perfect soul of your own. At that time, Hannibal's potential absolutely skyrocketed. Even if it's not like what Nellie Lou said, it's not too far from her potential, at least it will have a terrifying potential that surpasses Screto. After all, optimizing one's own soul to the most perfect level is itself a potential boost. Here I have to say that the spirit control gloves can build Hallibal's soul to the perfect level of her own soul, but it doesn't mean that she can be exactly the same as Nellie L, and the so-called perfect is just saying that her own soul was sketched to the most perfection that this soul could achieve. And the spiritual power contained in Nellie's own soul is extremely high and has great potential. After the perfection is drawn, of course there is a so-called gap between the same two different perfect souls, but the difference is not the same. The difference will be too great. At most, the speed of cultivation is a little faster and a little slower. But who is stronger still depends on her own performance and use, of course, and understanding. After all, why the powerhouses of the same level can decide the outcome depends on their respective development and use of understanding. Yeah, Hallibal nodded, remembering Nellie L's words, but her decision will not change, but she will continue to practice the same as before. But she will search under this premise a way to make yourself follow or make up for the gap with Nellie L. You two, who will come first? Lu Chengkong turned his head and said to his two wives. Me, Luanju and Yi said in unison, and after speaking, the two women looked at each other, sparking intense sparks, and then turned their heads away from each other and ignored each other. Let's decide by guessing. Lu Chengkong rubbed his temples speechlessly. The two women are very shrewd when it comes to major matters, but in the usual trivial matters, they compare what they have and what they don't have. Of course, this is also a way to enhance their relationship. The two women can also grasp this degree, just like joking with each other, but the way they joke is more unique. In the end, it may be the reason why God saw that Matsumoto Ranju did not perform well in the soul world before Matsumoto. It was Matsumoto Ranku who won. Looking at her proud, she raised her beautiful jade neck like a little swan. Saifeng Yuan Yei grinned his teeth, and sat up under his gaze. After 6 hours passed, Saifeng Yuan Yaiki and Matsumoto Ranju also completed the construction of their souls one after another, reorganizing their souls to their most perfect level, without a single flaw. It may be that Luanju learned that Saifeng Yuan Yaiki was there. Let the souls of the dead show their might. She was very resentful because of this, but fortunately Lu Chengkong was very happy that Luanju had shown such an attitude to stay in the world before, and she was able to satisfy this blonde Bobayu sister who had been away for more than 3 months in bed, which made Luanju's anger half dissipated. This night, after Lu Chengkong settled all the 6 women of Konghe, Ranju, Yaiki, Hijin, Kurosaki Masaki, and Soma Fengye, I don't know why the strength may be increasing day by day. Still unable to satisfy Lu Chengkong's physique. It was only after one injection that the 6 girls were so tired that they didn't even have the strength to move a finger. Lu Chengkong had no choice but to say that he was satisfied and signaled Yi and the others not to blame themselves. Hey, I had known that I would use spiritual power to temper my body like I did, and now I have not only gained the ability of steel skin, but also let all my overall muscle strength continue to rise. It can be said that Lu Chengkong's overall physical quality is getting stronger every day. Even if he uses his own spiritual pressure, the pure naked power can destroy the entire Kongza town in a few punches. It also makes Lu Chengkong, who is already extremely powerful in bed, even more difficult to satisfy, let alone Yi and Luanju, the 2 most powerful goddesses of death. Even the women Lu Chengkong has now, except Fei Zhen and Hasao apart from the pure human being Masaki Kurosaki, the needs of other women in that regard are extremely amazing. It lasts for a long time, even if Lu Chengkong, Hancock, Khalifa, and Angelina are the most powerful women on the One Piece, King of Pirates world bed, there is a big gap between them and Konghe and other women. But even in the face of Yi and Luanju, who had stronger stamina than Kong and other women, Lu Chengkong could not be truly satisfied. It could be seen that Lu Chengkong's needs were constantly improving with the enhancement of his overall physical quality. Forget it, I have nothing to do anyway. Lying here and watching them not only can't sleep, but they will talk about their desires instead. Lu Chengkong glanced at the girls sleeping beside him who were all over the place. He glanced at Lu Chengkong. His stomach couldn't help but get aroused, so he had to get up and go out for a walk. Let's go and see Landau, and Nian Meng, I haven't had a good chat after coming here for so long, and I don't know if she is really doing well here as Feijun said, I hope I didn't do it kindly. Bad thing. 531 Enlightenment of Nirvana Dream. At Lu Chengkong's speed, he went to Landao's research room in just a few seconds, but he didn't want to do it. Instead he walked slowly, like walking at night. When Lu Chengkong came to the research room, he found a figure standing there in the small garden outside the research room. Although he could not see her front, Lu Chengkong could still feel the radiance emanating from her back. Confused, lonely breath. So Lu Chengkong couldn't help but feel a little curiosity in his heart. He couldn't help but walked over, and found that this woman was not someone else but the Nianmeng he planned to see. At this time, she was standing under Gecko, although she was not like Dioshan. The moon is so beautiful. However, a hazy coat was sprinkled on her body by Gecko, plus the confused and lonely expression on her face, just like Chang'e who stayed in the Moon Palace for a long time, full of confusion about her future, and deep feelings lonely. Yinmeng. Lu Chengkong found out what Nianmeng might be thinking, and he didn't know when he stood beside her for so long. It was not until Lu Chengkong woke her up with a voice that he realized that Lu Chengkong didn't know when he was standing beside her. Around. Lord Chengkong. Nianmeng is the person who pays the most attention to rules and etiquette in Lu Chengkong's palace besides Fei Zhen. Seeing Lu Chengkong, he immediately stood up and bowed to Lu Chengkong very respectfully and politely. Yinmeng, maybe my decision was a bit hasty or unfair to you at the time, but I went to the Soul world before and saw that Ni Yuli came back and combined the essence of the righteous skeleton technology and the righteous soul technology to create it. A god of death like you. But he didn't take the death god he made as a human being, even a beast, and regarded him as a tool of battle and sacrifice, so although it makes you feel a little uncomfortable, if you do it again, I will still treat you take away. Told Nianmeng directly at gate of opening. Although he was hiding a little bit, most of the reason was that he did not want the goddess of death he admired to be treated like the original. Of course, there are also a little bit of his own selfishness. After all, he also quite likes this beauty. Master Chengkong, I don't blame you. In fact, I know what you said just now, and I even saw it with my own eyes. Maybe you don't know it. Lord Landau actually left a monitor in Jingling Shanting. Although I can't monitor the entire Saraiti, as long as I don't enter the Saraiti's building, I can see it clearly from the outside passage. I was there for the battle between my father, Nayuri, and the Quincy Ishida Yuryu. I read it in the research. Quote. Nianmeng is very quiet, and can even be said to be indifferent. Actually, what I really want to know is why did you take me away, Lord Chengkong? Have pity on me, but you shouldn't have known me at that time. At that time, I was just created by my father newly, and I was even hungry for the outside world. Knowing everything is zero. You can't know me. Nianmeng hesitated for a while, but still asked the biggest question in her heart. It's not easy for me to answer this. In short, you only need to know that I don't want you to be a tool of Nirvana. As for why I took you away, it should be said that I admire you. In another way, I like you. Of course, just like it. Quote. That's right, Lu Chengkong likes Nianmeng, her character, her quietness, her perseverance, her pursuit without any resentment. It's just that Newly gave her life, no matter what happens to her. No matter how miserable she was treated and hurt, she would not resent Ni Yuli. But fortunately, although Nian Mengsheng was grateful to Nian Li for giving her life, but because she had just been born, her knowledge of the outside world was almost zero, and the so-called view of good and evil in her heart was not established. They were all taken away by Lu Chengkong. She has never gotten along with Ni Yuli, so she is grateful and heartfelt to Ni Yuli, but she doesn't have the same attachment to her father as in the original book. After all, Ni Yinmeng was like a 1 or 2-year-old child at that time. The one who is good to her, whoever spends the longest time with her, will of course be the easiest to become attached to. Unfortunately, she was taken away by Lu Chengkong a few days after she was born, and she didn't even say a few words to Ni Yuli, not to mention that she lived like the original book for the past few years, but she came here without suffering. A very miserable life like the original. Instead, she was cared for and loved by Landau as her own daughter. Therefore, her original attachment to Ni Yuli, her father, was all transferred to Landau, and she was just grateful to Ni Yuli. Do you like it? Is it as simple as that? Ni Yanmeng is very smart. She has been very talented in research since she was a child. She was taught by Landau seriously and gave her full play in learning. The ability of research is boring. Of course, he also learned the so-called 7 emotions and 6 desires of human beings. What more complicated reasons do you need? Lu Chengkong looked at Ni Yanmeng's bland, serene figure, wondering if it was because he couldn't be satisfied just now. With her wide eyes watching, she very tenderly printed a sip on her small mouth. It's as simple as that. I can see that you're lonely. You don't know the value or reason for your existence, or what you want to pursue. You're full of confusion about the future. In fact, you're not alone at all. At least you have someone who will help you. Rondo, the mother who takes care of her daughter with respect. You can come to her or come to you if you have any concerns. As for the value or reason of your existence, you don't need to think about it at all, because existence is reasonable. Since you came to this world, do you still need to find any reason? I am happy, and the people I care about are happy. This is already the greatest happiness. Lu Chengkong was not making any excessive moves. Although Ni Yanmeng is smart and intelligent, she has met very few people since she was a child, either Landau or Bachin Luanju and other women. She usually eats and sleeps except for research, and has almost no contact with the outside world. All the information she knows about the outside world is from books, computers, instruments, etc., so directly speaking, she has a high IQ, but her heart is pure as snow. I believe that your kiss just now has already there was a shadow left in her heart. As long as she worked harder, she would soon be able to capture this pure-hearted nirvana dream, who was still at a loss and flushed. I'm going to find your mother, Landau. Remember, if you're alone, you can find someone. Lu Chengkong turned around very dashingly, seemingly without a trace of nostalgia, but in fact his heart was dripping blood. One chance for Ni Yanmeng's temperament. Even if I push her to her now, I believe she won't say anything, but she pretends to be dashing, pretends to be and regrets it. 532 The Temptation of Orchid Island. Oops, Lord Landau is doing that, and I forgot to tell Lord Chengkong. Lu Chengkong just walked away, because Lu Chengkong's words and the sudden kiss made Ni Yanmeng lose his composure, and his face flushed with embarrassment. It was a mess, and even important things were forgotten for a while. Now that I think about it, it's too late to tell Lu Chengkong. I don't know what Landau is doing. Ni Yanmeng's face, who was a little blush, turned even redder. It looked like a ripe red apple. Cute. Forget it, maybe something unexpected will happen. Maybe it was influenced by Lu Chengkong, or the woman's mind was really unpredictable, and the corner of Ni Yanmeng's mouth, who was so shy just now, actually showed a mischievous sly smile. Strange. How can it be so quiet? What is this girl doing in Landau? But she is a mature beauty, and it's time to push her down, but she is too rational. It is not comparable to the current cyan apple Nian dream. Even if a woman feels ashamed, she can deal with it without a trace of emotional fluctuations, and it is precisely because of this that Lu Chengkong has not changed his face for so many years. Can't find an opportunity to start. So comfortable, coming out soon. Suddenly, a seductive, very strange-sounding moan suddenly entered Lu Chengkong's ears. As a veteran of Huakong, Lu Chengkong immediately pricked up his ears, differentiated a little, and a wide smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. At this time, I think all brothers have understood why Ninmeng showed such an expression just now. Wow, I really didn't expect that Landau was actually trying to figure it out. It's an opportunity. This kind of opportunity is very rare. We must seize it. Landau's groaning sound like Chanel was full of temptation to Lu Chengkong. It was like thunder and fire. Lu Chengkong, who had not been satisfied before, had a lust in his lower abdomen, as if he had gotten some kind of garter. of burning up. Thinking of Landau, who has always looked like a scientist in an academy, who is full of rationality towards sex, makes him unable to take action. Now this kind of opportunity is a rare opportunity. Where would Lu Chengkong let it go? He immediately looked around like a thief. After confirming that no one was there, he stood on tiptoe and walked towards the source of the sound very carefully, as if he was afraid of disturbing Lan Island. Hiss, it's so tempting. Wow, that figure, that face, in addition to being more mature than Fangye. It lacks a hint of wildness of Fangye, but it has more of a glamorous lust. Wow, it's so big, I haven't gone through it. The nourishment of a man is even bigger than the Jade Girl Peak, which has turned into a fragrant wild. It's superb. Lu Chengkong looked around. Shuangmu immediately lit up. What he saw Landau lying on the bed, rising up and rolling he Feishuo's big butt. Like a dog, his face looked like a puppy. Like pain, like satisfaction, like happiness, full of contradictions. One of the jade hands was actually placed in the flower source and gently pulled. No, I can't take it anymore. Lu Chengkong watched for a while, but couldn't take it anymore, because his brother had already sent him an ultimatum. He couldn't take it anymore. Lu Chengkong rushed over immediately in desperation. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to overthrow Orchid, and Lan Island is the easiest to get started with. Is it finally here? It was just the next scene that surprised Lu Chengkong. In his opinion, Landau, who had been caught up in self-touching and couldn't help himself, was short of breath when he was about to rush over. Showing a soul-sucking smile, he turned over and pushed Lu Chengkong to the ground, and his charming red lips took the initiative to kiss Lu Chengkong. His skills were very subtle, but his movements were very unfamiliar, and he was obviously the first. Second rate. How could this be? Lu Chengkong was surprised. Landau, whose defense had always been so perfect that he had no way of attacking him, would actually take the initiative. Although he had not succeeded in knocking him down, he was also suspected of being a girl. He did not expect Landau. Shima was not angry at all, and looking at her expression, it seemed that she had expected to do this early in the morning, and she had even prepared for it. Do you really think I'm an idiot, you little pervert? I've been thinking about me all these years, but I blocked it. This time it's better for you to be lucky. Sometimes it's easier for men to get things. The less you will cherish it. I hope you will remember this sentence. Don't let me down, let alone your confidence. Quote. Landau gave Lu Chengkong a big white eye, but Landau was right. She knew Lu Chengkong's thoughts early on. She was so smart. Although she has always been single, she has very rich social experience. How could the idea hide from her? You must know that for most of the gods of death in the current corpse soul world, they are waiting and seniors. Don't forget that she has lived for a long time. Later, she got the genes of Soma Yoshino, so she doesn't need to sleep most of the time like before. Of course she felt Lu Tanjiangkong's thoughts about her over the years, and even the pursuit that appeared many times. Moreover, she is also very grateful for Lu Chengkong's help, but she is smart and keeps all of this in her heart. She wants to see if Lu Chengkong is fishing in 3 days and sunning in 2 days. Is a temporary interest, like fresh. But what surprised her was that Lu Chengkong actually pursued her for more than 60 years, and he never used force against himself. In her opinion, Lu Chengkong would be angry if he couldn't get him like this. To this day, it was only because of his own desires that he would stretch out the hand of a pervert by himself, which really surprised Landau. Strange. Haven't you always been lukewarm to me? Why are you still here to tempt me today when you know I'm here? Lu Chengkong immediately understood that this was still Landau's research room, and of course she knew immediately when she stepped into this place. Even if she was still drawing the lottery, even if she was approaching the climax, her rationality would definitely be extremely short. How could she still be waiting here for her speed to recover, and then tempted herself to force her to push her? In fact, I'm no longer a god of death. Logically speaking, I will die if I find it. Now mine can be said to be a human being, or it can be said to be Bawant, but it only has the power of death, and Bawant's lifespan, there are also all the characteristics of human life. Landau smiled charmingly. At this moment she was no longer a rational scientist, but a seductive scene dance, full of femininity. 533 Lan Island's reverse push. You pursued me for 60 years. Do you really think I'm made of stone? I've always been very grateful to you, but I'm not going to live long. I can be your grandmother at any age. And I decided a long time ago to dedicate my life to research. After the appearance of Bavint, it made me firmer. I originally planned to use the rest of my life to make up for my sins, but I didn't expect your appearance to change everything. I still remember the first time you appeared in front of me and made a deal with me. Hee. It's really interesting to think about it now. You little erotic man, please make my mind up early in the morning. Right, mother and daughter flowers. When Landau said this, he gave Lu Chengkong a ruthless glance, and stretched out his right hand to squeeze his waist, but unfortunately Lu Chengkong's steel skin defense was amazing. How could he be hurt by Landau's two-fingered zen? Ha ha. Lu Chengkong let out a smirk. He didn't expect Landau to see that he had an idea for her so long ago, so now he can only smirk in return. You must want to say why I know you are here and I'm still here to lure you into committing crimes. Landau probably also knew about Lu Chengkong's physical condition, and after pinching it bitterly, it was no longer in vain. Indeed. Lu Chengkong nodded, looking at the two pairs of meatballs in front of him at the same time. He couldn't help lowering his head and biting the grapes at the top to eat. Well, Bawant contains part of human genes and evolved from humans. I got Yoshino's genes and of course I also got part of human genes, so I said that I have Bawant's lifespan. Of course, all the characteristics of human beings, it also includes the complex emotions of human beings, as well as the power of death. To put it simply, a woman similar to human beings is grateful and has a good impression after being rescued by a hero of a man, and then the man gets along with the woman day and night, constantly pursuing, driven by good feelings and gratitude. It is easy to develop into a couple. Although I am very rational, I can even control the complex emotions of human beings. After all, I still have the power of death, but I turned around and found that in my life, apart from research, I have never really enjoyed the love between men and women. Although I was not saved by your hero. But you have helped me a lot, and I am really grateful to you. In addition to your 60 years of unrelenting pursuit, I see it all in my eyes. I am not a dead thing when I get along with you day and night. How could it be true? There is no emotion. Maybe this is a little bit of fate. After injecting Feng Ye gene, I found that after a long time, there will be what human women call loneliness, emptiness and coldness. Medications can be developed to clear this condition. But I don't know why every time I have this kind of thought, the shadow of you appears in my mind, so I give up. I want to see how many years you can pursue me. Will you give up if you lose the freshness? But you didn't. In human terms, you captured my heart. In addition, you walked in when I happened to be enjoying what it's like for a human woman to do this today, and that's why I have the current scene. I think this long-distance love run should end. Maybe find someone. It's really good for a man to find someone to rely on. It doesn't matter if it's Bavint's genetic influence or my heart is really captured by you, and after my observation, although you are very lustful, you are also enough to be that evil, a complete villain. But you are really long-term. You won't be bad to the old one because you have a new wife, and you won't lose the freshness and ignore me. Combined with everything that happened between me and you, then I found that I really can't find a reason to reject you. After all, time is the best measuring instrument to test a person. While talking, Landau actually lowered his head and licked Lu Chengkong's body with his pink and tender tongue. He licked everything from top to bottom, including little brother Quan, thinking that she had learned from human books. With her savvy and rich theoretical knowledge. With Lu Chengkong as the object of practice, her skills quickly changed from super rusty at the beginning to the end. Lu Chengkong couldn't stop. If Lu Chengkong hadn't watched Landau's transformation with his own eyes, he would definitely think she was a seasoned V.L3. Remember, we have a very long lifespan, and according to the speed of your development, maybe we really may have this endless lifespan. No matter what, the more you remember what I said just now, the more wrong you can get. the less you will cherish it. I hope you will remember this sentence. Don't blame me, let alone those confidants of you. Quote. After Landau finished speaking, she took the initiative to twist her buttocks and sat down facing Lu Chengkong's giant dragon. Obviously, she also knew that long pain is better than short pain. Ah! Landau screamed in pain, but there was a taste of pleasure and satisfaction in his voice. The jade neck was raised as high as a swan. Soon after the pain, Landau used himself in the tree. All the skills learned in the previous session were applied to Lu Chengkong. Let Lu Chengkong enjoy the kind of madness that Aunt Xiao brought her in the world of One Piece, king of pirates, without a trace of scruples, no so-called morality, ethics, full of primitive fiery pleasure. The wife of a scumbag must not be abandoned. I have always kept it in my heart. Don't worry, as long as I admit that you are my wife. No matter what, as long as I am still alive, then I will do my best to make you happy, and protected. You. Lu Chengkong whispered in Landau's ear. Maybe because of Lu Chengkong's words, the wild and unrestrained Landau became more diligent. Sure enough, Lord Landau, it seems that you finally chose Lord Chengkong. But compared to what you read in the book, and the men you see in the human society, you always give up, and you see something better than what you have. Just abandon your bedside person, or sell your bedside person for profit. Although Lord Chengkong has many so-called shortcomings, any one of his advantages is enough to cover up all these so-called shortcomings. Maybe your choice is right, but Lord Chengkong is so lustful. She kissed just now, and I am yours again. Daughter, Miss Yoshino is also your daughter, she will never let me go, what should I do? Hearing the faintly beautiful music, standing in the garden, Nianinmeng actually started to think wildly. What surprised her was that she found that the mood swings and confusion that she had had today were more than the same. The years I have lived before add up to more. 534 Lisa Yahomaru. The next day, when the eyes of the early morning fell on the two people who had done crazy things last night, Lu Chengkong, who was wrapped around Landau like an octopus, slowly opened his eyes. Thinking back to the night when Landau was obviously his first time, he was crazy like a shameless slut who was madly demanding and dissatisfied. He didn't care about his first broken body, allowing Lu Chengkong to enjoy Landau greatly. Unique taste. How is it? Although it's my first time, but my skills are good. Landau also woke up at some point. Seeing Lu Chengkong's expression, he could guess what he was thinking, but after a night of fighting Landau was still a little tired, and she didn't have the strength to pinch Lu Chengkong. Instead, she gave Lu Chengkong a blank look. That lazy look made Lu Chengkong, who was originally very lustful in the morning, immediately raised his flag to Landau. Salute. Big satyr, isn't that enough? I added some potion to my body last night, so that my body can withstand your rain and do even more. I didn't expect you to frantically charge me with the 6 girls of Luanju and the others. Facing such a situation makes me very unbearable, you are such a monster. It was also stored in the peach blossom garden on Landau, and the changes of the giant dragon were immediately noticed by Landau. The real pain from under her body, coupled with the gentleness and tireless unrestrainedness of Yi Yi, made her pain far beyond ordinary people. Ordinary human women, no matter how good their bodies are, may be so crazy that they may have slowly died. Of course it's not enough. If you weren't concerned about your body and ancestry, you couldn't bear it, how would I let you go so easily? Lu Chengkong's typical appearance was that he was cheap and good-looking, which made Landau angry and funny. Then do you want me and Fang to serve you together tonight? Mother and daughter Hua, you've been waiting for a long time, and do you want to bring Yinmeng? But Yinmeng is so pure that she will not be able to escape you, a pervert. The palm of your hand. When Landau said that, he used his pink fist to beat Lu Chengkong's chest fiercely. It might be the first time he broke the melon in the night, or it might be the reason why he has the man he loves. Landau, who looks very cool, rational like a CEO of a modern professional woman on earth, exudes a capable, calm, and wise breath all over her body made it out, adding a little more charm. Hee. Lu Chengkong was not embarrassed when he saw through his thoughts, but instead smiled proudly. because he really thought so. What would be embarrassing to his closest wife beside his pillow? Laugh, you know how to laugh. Landau snorted, but maybe he was really tired, and twisted a few times in Lu Chengkong's arms. I don't know if it was intentional or not. After stirring up Lu Chengkong's lust, it actually looks like I'm very tired. You will take care of me. Lie down in Lu Chengkong's arms and fall asleep again. The sly smile on the corner of his mouth seems to have stolen the candy he likes to eat. Very cute as a child. This Orchid Island, I didn't expect her to have such a side. Maybe this side has been hidden in the deepest part of her heart, and she will only reveal it in front of herself. Lu Chengkong pinched Landau's Chong nose a little funny. His mind moved, a cold breath flowed through his body, the desire in his lower abdomen disappeared instantly, and his brain became extremely awake. I thought to myself, Landau, you have miscalculated. Do you think that I can't solve it if you stir up my desires? Don't forget that I realized Bingxin and Demon Heart. What emotions can affect me? When Lu Chengkong and Landau woke up again, it was already past 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but Lu Chengkong didn't care. For him with a long lifespan, the concept of fundamental time had long since been forgotten. But he also knows that he still has something to do today, that is to bring his own woman, and of course the prospective woman Orihime Inoue. Lisa Yahomaru still has a vigilant look on her face, looking at herself with the expression that you are a big pervert. Don't touch me. She and Naneo collectively moved to the soul realm. When he reached Lu Chengkong's realm, he didn't need to use the realm crossing gate at all, because since he could possess all the powers of the void, including Shibin's black cavity of course, he could directly use the spiritual pressure to destroy the space of the world, and then form a path leading to the soul realm. The tunnel, with its powerful Reiatsu, stabilizes the tunnel for a short time. You can go anywhere, you don't need to use the gate of the world as before. As for Yaiki and Ranju, they can use the black voice now. Can be used, let alone Screto now. You big pervert, don't try to get my attention, let alone Lisa's sister's idea. Eyes Naneo blocked Yazumaru Lisa behind him like a hen guarding her calf, watching with alarm Lu Chengkong. After more than 60 years of polishing, Eyes Naneo is no longer as timid as before. She has the same calm character as in the original book. She can handle everything calmly and in the best way, but there are exceptions. No matter how calm and composed she is, every time she faces Lu Chengkong, she will be like a naive person. She's very lively, just like a cute little girl. Che, although you have grown up quite a bit, and you are no longer the coward you used to be, but your small body doesn't attract my interest. As for my idea of hitting a lecherous girl, even the protagonist didn't say anything. What are you excited about? Lu Chengkong glanced at the plumpness on Eyes Naneo's chest with a pretense of disdain, and said with an expression of, I'm not interested. Eyes Naneo pointed at Lu Chengkong in anger, and she was able to talk about Lu Chengkong every time. I don't know why I can only fall behind. In fact, Lu Chengkong has indeed wronged Eyes Naneo, although Eyes Naneo is not as good as Ujawali, not as good as Matsumoto Ranju, and he doesn't have to go up to the Sky Crane, Yaiki, and even Yahomaru Lisa in front of him. Not quite, but to say that she is small is too much. Her plumpness far exceeds that of ordinary women, and more importantly, she obviously still has a lot of room for development. Under the circumstance, you can see the 2 lumps of breast meat on her chest. Eyes Naneo is still very predictable. Just that she obviously belongs to the type of going with a slender and moderate body. 1 more point is fat, 1 point less is thin, not a plump or high-level woman, but each has its own characteristics. You are the little lecher. Lisa Yahomaru pulled Eyes Naneo aside to prevent her from being stimulated again, but when she heard Lu Chengkong say she was a lecher, she couldn't help but retorted. 535 Lisa. Why would Lu Chengkong call Lisa Yahomaru a little girl? It wasn't because Lu Chengkong called her that because he knew her original character and her performance. It's entirely because Liza Yadomaru lived in her own palace for a period of time, but she often knocked on the side of Ranju and other female servants and asked them and Lu Chengkong's bed, such as what was it like? Is it very painful, is it very comfortable, or is Lu Chengkong very powerful? Forget it, there were times when it was even more powerful that Lisa Yatomaru did not know whether it was intentional or not. When Lu Chengkong and Ranju fought to the point of the most critical moment, she actually hid and watched with relish, although she blushed and panted, but she still concentrates on watching Lu Chengkong and Luanju's fight. When Lu Chengkong wanted to rectify this little erotic girl on the spot, she was very smart and fled directly, and even worried that Lu Chengkong would catch her. Every time he escaped, he used Bankai, and every time he escaped, he chose the time. Very accurate, that is when Lu Chengkong couldn't chase after her. For example, when Lu Chengkong was fighting with his wife until the climax erupted, she left immediately, and did not give Lu Chengkong a chance to take action. How could you ask Lu Chengkong to leave at that time? Chase. I don't know if she had an idea with Landau. Everyone knew that she and Lu Chengkong had an adult, and they both liked each other, but Lisa Yatomaru refused to stay. Chong Kong took her chance, but instead played with the ambiguity that was elusive. Thinking about it, he planned to kill Lu Chengkong, or let Lu Chengkong realize that what he couldn't get was the best, or he wanted to let Lu Chengkong know that the easier he got, the less he would cherish it. I hope Lu Chengkong understands this truth. It is also possible that he is worried that Lu Chengkong will no longer like to cherish her so much if he is too easy to get him. If you're not a lecherous girl, why do you always come to steal the teacher when I and Luanju and the others are doing shit? Lu Chengkong said in a sure tone, of course. And Lisa, in fact, you should also understand my character. I won't do things that are always messed up and abandoned. As for what you can't get is the best, the easier it is to get a man will not do it. To cherish this kind of thing doesn't happen to me, why do you do it? Do you really want to know? Lisa Yatomaru was stunned, not expecting that Lu Chengkong would suddenly ask himself so directly. Nonsense, why would I ask you if you don't know? Lu Chengkong said angrily. He was really curious. She could see that Lisa Yamaru really wanted to be with her, and she even looked at herself and Ranju, etc. Women have done so many human creation campaigns. Although they have zero practical experience, their theoretical knowledge is definitely not inferior to that of Randau. I just don't know why Yagamaru Lisa runs away every time. Am I really a very lecherous woman in your heart? Lisa Yamaru did not answer Lu Chengkong directly, but instead asked back. It shouldn't be counted. If you are a lecherous woman, you would not be a single noble for so many years, and you will be like a jade. Lu Chengkong thought for a while and then said. But I think so. I find that I don't know why I am very interested in that aspect, and I can't help but think about it and want to understand it. I'm worried that after I gave you the proof of sex, it's been a long time, and you don't believe that I am a woman who is chaste to you and keeps her body like a jade. What should I do? I worry, every time I think about it. I would like to give myself to you, but in the end I dare not. I'm not that kind of woman, and I don't like women. I'm not interested in Lily's love. I'm only interested in that aspect. When I didn't know you before, I just wanted to read those magazines and they were just looking at women. I haven't seen men, I just look at it with the pure and rational eyes of an outsider. I never thought I would do those things. After I met you, I didn't even look at it, and I often think of the past. Those swimsuit idol magazines make me feel sick. I just want to see you. I'm only interested in you. I can't see everything else, so when I'm at your house, I can't help but want to see you every time you do those things with Luanju and the others. Lisa Yamaru may have been aroused by a thorn in her heart. She spoke slowly at first, but in the end, she became more and more excited, as if she was afraid that Lu Chengkong would not believe her, and her face turned red with anxiety. She has a very similar temperament to Landau, calm, rational and full of glamour. She is completely different. I thought it was a big deal. Lu Chengkong laughed, but he didn't expect it to be such a trivial matter. He could see from the original book that Lisa Yamaru was appreciating it from an artist-like point of view. Just look at it, just as biological popularists look at. It is completely from a rational point of view. There is no so-called shyness or embarrassment at all, but I feel that this is just a need of the human body, and there are things to do for the reproduction of the offspring, just like humans need to eat and drink water, respectively. Biologists can do without changing their color in front of many people or not a big deal at all. Men sometimes like to watch pornographic movies, and they are full of interest in the opposite sex and want to watch them. It's not like this is the case with women, but most of the women are shy and reserved, and they will not show it face to face like Yatomaru Lisa, not to mention Yatomaru Lisa is not looking at the opposite sex. It's just a swimsuit magazine for the same woman, no big deal. If that's the case, you don't need to worry at all, because you have told everyone what kind of woman you are with practical actions. If you are a feisty, natural woman, before you know me, you still keep your body like a jade. As for the lily, I don't mind. Isn't it better to be full of tricks on the bed? I like the lily with my wives, but your heart can only belong to me alone of. And have you lived in this world for so long without discovering some of the habits of human beings? Our gods of death are actually transformed from the dead souls of human beings, but we have the power of gods of death to control the so-called emotions and desires of human beings. As long as we want to, we can easily control it if we don't indulge. It's just an interest, a curiosity, we don't need to suppress it, just like Lisa and I are very interested in your body, otherwise you are also interested in me, very interested. How can I be angry and unhappy when you say that? On the contrary, I am very happy and prove that I am attractive. Lisa, you just want to see me alone. After Lu Chengkong finished speaking, he happily hugged Lisa Yatomaru, who was still thinking about Lu Chengkong's words, in his arms. He thought it was a big deal, but he didn't expect it to be such a small problem. Because she liked herself and was influenced by her emotions, she was as smart as she was, and she made a trivial matter so complicated and serious. 536 Naneo. You can tell from her performance in the original work. Without her own appearance, she was watching swimsuit idols without changing her face, with relish and no desire at all. It was purely out of curiosity, and more importantly, she was not watching. A magazine of the opposite sex is simply a swimsuit idol magazine for the same woman. It may also be that she is used to this kind of bad taste and is not affected by her feelings for herself. She is calm and composed, and doesn't care about these things at all. Interest. However, this kind of curiosity disappears after many women. Lisa is this kind once they have a man they love, of course the real kind, and for this reason, she will also be interested in those who have seen before. The so-called idol swimsuit magazine has a feeling of vomiting, and the lover's eyes show she. This sentence is not only useful for men to use by women, but also useful for men. Panan is in the eyes of lovers. It is precisely because of this that now, because of her appearance, she is worried that she will think that she is a slut who is not chaste, and dare not let go of herself. If it is a human being in the long run, it may form a psychological shadow or mental illness is also possible, but it's just a trivial matter for the god of death or the virtual. Really, you really don't think I'm a shameless slut? Liza Yamanmuru asked, still a little unconfident. Hee, you have said it yourself. Since you met me, you have a feeling of nauseous about what you have seen before. Doesn't this explain everything? Before you don't have a man you like. It's just a kind of opposite sex. I'm curious. Many younger women have them, and more importantly, it seems that you have been reading idol swimwear magazines that are also female, right? It's just that they won't show it without any scruples like you, but choose to keep it in their hearts, and it's not as serious as your curiosity about the body of the opposite sex. When you have someone you like, the things you used to watch are all gone. Like a pile of shit. All you want to see is the body of the person you like. You don't need to peek at it secretly. I will satisfy your curiosity tonight and let you see it slowly, but I can tell you first, you will be forever don't hate my body. Lu Chengkong said that the last time he saw Lisa Yatomaru had tears in her eyes because of the anxiety just now, so she couldn't help teasing. No, it won't be mine. I'll never get bored of it. No, I'll never get tired of it. Lisa Yamanmuru had now determined that Lu Chengkong would not view herself in this way, and after unraveling the knot in her heart, she recalled before that, I just felt funny for a while. This is really just a very small matter. It's no big deal. I just didn't expect that this trivial matter would trouble me for so long. Thinking of this, she held Lu Chengkong's hand even harder. I have secretly vowed to make up for all the time wasted in the past. HMPH, I knew that Sister Liza couldn't escape the palm of this big pervert. It's too abhorrent to kidnap Sister Liza. Ais Naneo looked angrily at the two of them hugging each other sweetly, and thought indignantly, but unfortunately Lu Chengkong and Yatomaru Lisa completely forgot about the light bulb Ais Naneo around him. Now, one of them is thinking about how to tear it down tonight, and the other is thinking about how to make up for the time wasted before. By the way, we are not the gods of death from the 13th division of the Gotei now, so where do we live? Yatomaru Lisa buried her small head in Lu Chengkong's arms, breathing the kind of breath that only the man in front of him could give her. The smell of safety and the masculine scent in which he was deeply intoxicated. This trivial matter, now I can live anywhere I want in the soul world except for the Spirit King space. I have already led the Spirit Child to build a palace near Saifengyuan and Shiva's house that is the same as ours in this world. Then you won't live unfamiliar. Lu Chengkong hugged Lisa Yatomaru by the waist, and although Lisa Yatomaru blushed, she cooperated with Lu Chengkong very docilely, with both hands gently wrapping Lu Chengkong's neck, and the small milk bag was leaning against Lu Chengkong. Chengkong's chest was arched like a kitten. After finding a comfortable position, he slowly closed his eyes, and actually fell asleep in Lu Chengkong's arms as if there was no one else around. Ais Naneo, who was watching, was very dissatisfied, and shouted in his heart that he had forgotten his sisters because of his husband. It was really the water that the married woman poured out. It is so serious even if she is not married yet. Don't you remember who you are? Let's go, Xiao Naneo. Lu Chengkong patted Ais Naneo's head, and disappeared in a blink of an eye before she had a seizure, leaving an afterimage of a smug face at Ais Naneo. Ais Naneo almost fainted out of breath. Wait for me, I will definitely snatch Lisa back. Ais Naneo shouted coquettishly, and chased after him with Shunpo. It was night, the top of a very secret mountain in the soul world. At this time, because of the cover of the night, I could only roughly see that the two silhouettes should be two figures. As for whether it was a man or a woman, I didn't know. Have you checked it all out? A voice that sounds very neutral, as if after special treatment, makes it impossible to know whether it is a man or a woman. Suddenly, the voice is flat, but it has with an irresistible majesty. The person behind her immediately knelt down on one knee, very respectful, and said in awe, "Yes, there should be a shadow of Wang Shu here." Wang Shu. It seems that my conjecture is correct. Apart from King Ling, only Wang Shu has this ability. It seems that his injuries should be all healed, otherwise he will not come out to make trouble. Alright, let's settle all the grievances in one go. The mysterious man who seemed to be his boss didn't know if it was male or female was silent for a while before speaking. My lord, this subordinate dares to ask, is that Lu Chengkong in the soul world really worth your attention? The subordinate hesitated for a while, as if he was afraid of being scolded, but she finally asked. This is the last time. If you question me again in the future, then you will know the end. The boss didn't answer directly. Instead, he threw out a wrong answer, which scared the latter back and forth. He gave me a very unique feeling. When I first saw him, I had a feeling that he was definitely not in the pool, but that was only my first opinion, even if it was a question of potential. Although I think he has the potential to grow to a very high level in the future, but that is just potential. Since ancient times, there are as many geniuses as the sands of the Ganges River, but there are a few who can really reach the level of Spirit King and Wang Shu, but later he exceeded my expectations again and again, so I had to think from the beginning that he was just a reaper with great potential ended up intriguing me, and I am now eager to see how far he can go. 537 The Temptation of Lisa Yahomaru. How can he get such a high evaluation from you, Lord? The subordinate was obviously very shocked, but she knew very well how accurate the vision of the Lord in front of her was and how unfathomable a person he was. No matter who and that person can get her such evaluation, their achievements in life will definitely not be low, and now listening to her tone, it seems that this Lu Chenggong has exceeded her expectations many times. How can this not shock his subordinates? HMPH, sometimes you can't just look at him when looking at people, but pay attention to the people around him. Which of the people around him is not an extremely talented person? He can see through the so-called racial boundaries between the god of death, the virtual, and the so-called human beings. The sea is open to all rivers, and the god of death and Shu, who should have been lost or suffered catastrophe, have escaped because of his existence, and have successfully grown to a higher peak. More importantly, there is a growth speed and potential around him. No less than his death, the grass deer Bachenliu. As a subordinate, the mysterious person didn't know if she was delusional. She always felt that the adult in front of her had a mood swing like never before when she said the last 5 characters of the grass deer, but she soon self-denial. The illusion should be, how can adults have mood swings because of such a death? Go back, without my order. You will stay in the Spirit King realm and continue to pay attention to all the developments in the Spirit King realm. As for Kurosaki Aikiryu, this little mouse killed Kurosaki Masaki's father and became Team Zero. I don't care about the vice captain, but if he dares to collude with Wang Shu, then I have to care. Let him collapse for a while. Aikiryu Kurosaki will be regarded as a stepping stone for Lu Chenggong and Kusaka Yachinliu. Let me see if you can step on this stepping stone to reach a higher level of existence. It's amazing. Currently in the Spirit King realm, Kurosaki Aikiryu is only the strongest under the Spirit King and the leader of Team Zero. Such a powerful death god is actually a little mouse in the mouth of this mysterious person. So who is she? Spirit King, or the captain of Team Zero? Yes. As a subordinate, the mysterious person deeply remembered the words of the adult in front of her. After answering, the space behind her actually cracked, and then she walked indirectly. A space crack, and a crack leading to the Spirit King realm. These two people are definitely not simple. Hehe, Bachenliu, Lu Chenggong. After the subordinate left, as the boss, she chuckled and muttered. She disappeared without seeing any movement from her, and her movement seemed to have no trace. No, it should be said it seems to be integrated with the whole world, and it is really terrifying. Lu Mansion, that's right, this is the name of the place where Lu Chenggong lives in the Soul Palace of the Corpse Soul Realm. Everything in this palace is exactly the same as where Lu Chenggong lives in the present world, although it is a little bigger and a little more majestic. The area is also relatively large. But everything here was constructed by Lu Chenggong himself, and he did not use the spiritual sons of the soul world as resources, so even old man Yamamoto, the Iron Rooster, could not find any mistakes in Lu Chenggong. I don't know if it was a fiasco. Because of the reason in Lu Chenggong's hands, although old man Yamamoto is still as firm as before in implementing the law of the Soul Society and the justice in his heart. However, there is a touch of humanity more than before. After all, he also has feelings. Everything in the past was just interference from Room 46 and Aizen. He had no choice but to execute it, and he seemed to like picking on Lu Chenggong Jian, put on Lu Chenggong's shoes. I don't know if it's because he is so old that he is particularly remorseful, but it's a pity that Lu Chenggong seems to have known that he would be like this early in the morning. The old man was depressed for a long time. Well, don't be so impatient. Lisa Yahomaru gasped for a while, her face flushed with too blushing. Her snowy skin and jade skin were covered with a layer of pink blush, and she looked even more. Okay. Lu Chenggong knew that Yazumaru Lisa, a little girl, had peeped at him and Ranju and the others so many times to create a human being, and he had a wealth of theoretical knowledge. He also knew that Yazumaru Lisa was wasting so much because of her own horns. Time is very guilty, want to make up for it. Therefore, Lu Chenggong simply handed over the initiative to Lisa Yazumaru, but he wanted to see this braided braid, wearing a sailor suit and a pair of glasses without degrees, so that he could try what is called the transformation of uniforms. What kind of stimulation will Lisa bring to her? HMPH. Lisa Yahomaru snorted, looking at Lu Chenggong's glowing eyes, not only not angry, but proudly straightening up the plumpness of her chest. Although she was shy, she felt very exciting. Only the man in front of him can appreciate his precious jade body. Immediately afterwards, Liza Yahomaru was shy and excited, but she was so cold and beautiful that she lowered her head and buried her head under Lu Chengkong's crotch, her head bobbing up and down quickly. "Oh," Lu Chengkong suddenly exclaimed comfortably. Lisa Yahomaru's movements are very unfamiliar, but she has a wealth of theoretical knowledge and often observes female ventriloquism such as Yaiki and Ranju, but she is making rapid progress. Maybe she really it is a natural fox spirit, and the speed of progress is far less than that of Landau. Every time she made a mistake, she didn't need Lu Chengkong to say anything, she corrected it herself, and she would not make the previous mistake again, which made Lu Chengkong feel crooked. "How is it? Are you feeling good?" Lisa Yahomaru looked up at Lu Chengkong as if she was eating a very delicious ice cream, and looked at Lu Chengkong as if she was a child who wanted to be praised. He stretched out his lilac tongue and licked the corner of his mouth, full of the ultimate temptation. "It's comfortable," Lu Chengkong sighed. Even if he had such a life as an emperor, he wouldn't want to be an immortal, all he wanted was these wives to accompany her. There are more comfortable ones. Lisa Yahomaru as charming Isho, she looked like a cold and glamorous beauty from the outside, and now she shows such a coquettish side, it is really soul-stirring. After all, there are many times when some more extreme women, such as a dignified lady who looks indescribably expensive to outsiders, suddenly behave very dazzlingly in front of you on the bed. These two extreme performances are irresistible to any man. And the current Yazumaru Liza is like this, she looks calm and composed on the outside, like a glamorous beauty with no emotional desire, but now she is looking at Yazumaru Liza's cold and pretty face. How could that coquettish action make Lu Chengkong unhappy and comfortable? 538 Eat Yahomaru Lisa. Really? Lu Chengkong looked at Lisa Yahomaru excitedly, looking forward to her exciting performance. Sure enough, Yahomaru Lisa didn't disappoint Lu Chengkong, only to see that she pushed up her two balls of moderate size and plump with and a soft meat ball in the to surround Lu Chengkong's giant dragon, but only expose the faucet at the top, push it up and down, and then open its cherry mouth to hold the dragon cap. Hiss! Lu Chengkong gasped comfortably, as if there was an electric current flowing through his body along the giant dragon, and his body couldn't help but experience VV's convulsions. Soon Lu Chengkong couldn't help but hug Yahomaru Lisa, who was the little lamb, and jumped directly onto the bed, pressing him directly. Yahomaru Lisa wrapped around Lu Chengkong's body like a water snake, constantly twisting his slender waist. A pair of slender jade legs were already caught on Lu Chengkong's body. "Come on, possess me, my body, everything I have belongs to you. I want to look at you every day, your body, everything about you, I will never get tired of seeing it." Lisa Yahomaru was emotional, said sternly. Immediately, a cry of pain rang out, and a beautiful plum blossom appeared on the white sheets. In order to let Lu Chengkong and herself have a perfect sex, Lisa Yahomaru didn't care about her body at all, and let Lu go crazy. Chengkong asked for it from herself, and she also tried her best to cater to Lu Chengkong. The sound of wheezing, breathing, and the sound of slaps rang all night. In the middle of the night, the room that was supposed to be playing the Golden Breath drum heard another cry of pain from Lisa Yahomaru, and this cry of pain was worse than the previous one. "My little chrysanthemum, peach blossom, spring and shaozui are all for you. Take pity on me, don't be shy, I will definitely satisfy you." Only vaguely heard Lisa Yahomaru say such a sentence, and not long after that, the two fell into a frenzy of passion again, and it was not enough for outsiders. In the next 2 months, Xiao Lingting has completely recovered to the speed when Lu Chengkong and others invaded the Soul Realm, and even because of Lu Chengkong's reasons, Xiao Lingting's corruption has been eliminated, broken and standing, plus Hiriko with the return of Mako and others. Xiaoringei's overall strength not only did not drop, but instead increased a lot. The masked army and the others, except for Liza and Naneo, who took Liza with her because she was uneasy, and the others who did not let Acridine return to her original position, all returned to their positions before leaving the Soul Society. The leader of the 6th Division of the dead Byakuya Kuchiki was replaced by Kuchiki Hikari. The Technology Development Bureau was the captain of the 2nd Division. Of course, Kazuki Urahara did it. Others are also not much different from the duties performed by the original Kamen Legion after defeating Aizen and returning to the Soul World. However, the duration of the quiet days is too short, or it may be said that these years have been eventful, or it may be that the quiet days have passed very quickly. Today, Seraiti sent to the world to replace the patrol of Kuchiki Rukia to eliminate some relatively low-level patrols. The Ghost of Death reported that a large number of human souls have died out in this world. Liu Chengkong, Soma Yoshino and Ranjima, who heard the news, said almost in unison, "Bawant." With the corpse soul world where Hirako Mako and others returned, plus their strength far exceeding the original, and the current Seraiti is not corrupt at all. It is almost impossible for Bavint to make a riot in the soul world like the original book, but Liu Chengkong thinks that Bawant's invasion of the soul world is a good thing. At least it can make the god of death guarded by Seoringe not support it. It is also a good thing to be lazy and let yourself watch a big show to pass the time. Old man Yamamoto, the thing you said should be what Bavint did. Liu Chengkong felt a little bored today, so he came to this captain's conference room and said what he knew. Counting the time, without the interference of Yaiki in the original work and the ability of Soma Yoshino, the only maternal Bawant, to create a more powerful blood essence that devours the soul and does not age. Liu Chengkong originally thought that Carrier God didn't do much. After all, the reason why Carrier God can face Kurosaki Ichigo and Kuchiki Byakuya alone in the original book is entirely due to the power of Jingji chapter plus countless blood essence piled up, and now there is no Yoshino action. Bavint shouldn't have much to do with the introduction of blood essence. But things are often beyond everyone's expectations. Carrier God did not know where to find a very extreme method, and actually concealed all the Bavint around him, saying that these blood essences will not grow old after eating, and their strength can be continuously enhanced. In fact, it does not grow old, but it does make Bavint, whose lifespan is almost immortal, continue to shorten. He may live in a few years, and Carrier God himself is taking it, but he has the power of the pure world seal to suppress it. So not as serious as others. Bavant, how did you know that? As expected of an antique, old man Yamamoto, who had lived for thousands of years, immediately remembered what kind of race it was. It's very simple. One of my wives is the only motherhood in Bawinter, and the other is Bawinter's creator. How could I not know? Liu Chengkong said in an astonishing voice, making Jingle Chunchui look envious. This guy's beauty is really not ordinary. You're talking about Landau. It's strange. With her strength, she still hasn't died of old age. It should be your kid's actions, but since you know it's what Bavint did, it can be solved. Since they want to invade Seoringe, then we will wait for the work, wait for the rabbits to come and catch them all at once, so as not to slip through the net again. Quote. The old man Yamamoto made the decision immediately, but when he wanted to pull Liu Chengkong to do free labor, he found that Liu Chengkong, who was still standing there just now, had left at some point. This guy escaped again. I'm mad at the old man. The old man Yamamoto was out of breath. Every time he tried to catch him as a free laborer, he slipped away, and this time was no exception. Everything in the next development is similar to the original, but the difference is that Ichigo Kurosaki and others did not have the three small things developed by Kazuki Urahara, who were responsible for detecting the existence of Bavint, to help them detect Bavint, so many times all missed the chance to fight Bavint. It is worthy of the help of the corpse and soul world of the dead statue in the world. Kazuki Urahara immediately developed three small things of the original book to explore Bavint, and also sent the corner of Matter Aim, Ace Chuan, and Asani Renji to help. Ichigo Kurosaki and others also made that Ichigo Kurosaki, Taihu Chato and Yoryu Ishida no longer look like blind flies. Also, in order to give Ishida Yulong some strength, not to die innocently, and to make this entertainment show last a little longer, Liu Chengkong can give Ishida Yulong a reply when he goes to the corner of the eye. Needless to say, the weapon of the teacher's ability was also created by Kazuki Urahara, and only this guy is so leisurely. 539 Bawant, S Invasion. Bankai Skylock Zanyu. In the basement, Ichigo Kurosaki, who had been unable to Bankai many times, after Zanyu's suggestion, he was finally able to use Benkai again, and because of his consciousness, he increased the spiritual pressure multiple of Benkai this time. It actually increased from 5 times at the beginning to 6 times. Sure enough, fighting is the fastest way to improve strength. You mean Benkai? Of course, carry a god, who has fought with Death God many times in the soul world, of course knows Benkai that Captain Death will know, but he didn't think that this boy of Death God who seems to him has some strength can actually Benkai. It's really amazing as expected. Let you see how powerful I am, Ichigo Kurosaki. Ichigo of Benkai came back with confidence again. In this basement, he showed the ability of Tiansuo Zanyu. Immediately use it. Appearing behind Carry a God, Tiansuo Zanyu stabbed Carry a God's waist. Boom. Kariashin's expression changed slightly, and he secretly said in his heart that he was very fast, but he did not lose any square inch. He twisted his body and blocked his right hand back. With the sound of a crash, all the sand and stones under his feet were blown away by the strong wind. Dangerously and dangerously, he blocked Tiansuo Zanyu's stab. HMPH. Kurosaki Ichigo snorted very arrogantly. Tiansuo Zanyu turned, and a black crescent moon was released from the blade. After watching by Ichigo's battle, he also learned a trick, although he has always been it is to pick up bargains behind by Yihu, but this is also a way to increase his strength. What is this? Facing the sudden black crescent moon, Carry a God couldn't dodge at all, he could only fold his hands together to protect his head, but he was blasted out by the powerful black crescent moon and hit the wall. At this time, Ishida Yulong also arrived, and after shooting 2 arrows of Carry a God, he shot another arrow to completely open the gate of crossing the world. Obviously, he made the innocent move of the original book. Only the weapon of his Quincy in the soul realm can be used to the extreme. Oh, Ishida, do you know what you're doing? A Sanjing Renji said helplessly, pressing her forehead. I know of course that while doing so would make Bavint harder to deal with. If we were to fight here, we would die if we lost, but if we win, we wouldn't be able to kill them and let them escape. What if the world starts to absorb human souls again and again? And this bottom is simply unable to bear us to fight, and only the corpse soul world can. There are so many death gods in the corpse soul world, even if we lose, can we kill them by besieging them? What's more important is that although they can absorb spiritual sons in the world of corpses, they will not absorb the souls of human beings in this world. I have no choice but to do it. Ishida Yulong said. I don't mean that, I mean, their purpose is obviously to seek revenge for the Soul Society, but if you think about it, we still have our share of the shot here, but they went to the Soul Society. They set up a net of heaven and earth to wait for them, they will definitely die if they go, and those who want to fight will not be able to. Quote. Sanjing Renji's words made Ishida Yulong sweat cold. When did this guy become so belligerent? It wasn't Sanjing's bellicose, but he saw Lu Chengkong's group's battle at the Junyang execution ground. See what is the real peak death god powerhouse. As a god of death or a ghost, he doesn't want to go to a higher level, but he knows that there are not many opportunities to fight in the world of corpses. Now that Bavint is finally here, of course he won't let it go. After all, he also knows that fighting is the best and fastest way to improve his strength. No matter what, we must follow. Kurosaki Ichigo gritted his teeth, and several of his classmates had their souls taken away by Bavint. Of course, the anger and hatred for Bavint had to go. Hey, do whatever you want, it's useless to go anyway. Renji Sanjing opened the gate and walked in. Ichigo Kurosaki and the others followed, and soon the gate disappeared. The only thing left is this messy basement that was destroyed because of the battle between Kurosaki Ichigo and Carry a God. Soul Realm, I'm back, and revenge has begun. After crossing the Broken Realm and arriving at Soul Realm, Carry a God said excitedly, but he didn't know that from the moment he entered Soul Realm, many gods of death in Searinge have been aware of their existence. Is it finally here? Lu Chengkong looked up at the few rays of light flashing in the sky, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Chi, I thought the opponent was so strong this time, but I didn't expect it to be this level. It's boring. It would be better to find the 2 guys like Kuchiki Shanghai and Hizishenzi to fight. Zengi Kenpachi felt the spiritual pressure of Bawant and his party, and suddenly felt boring. Now he has higher and higher requirements for choosing opponents, especially after the battle with Deadwood Jinling. In his opinion, it is absolutely not possible when there is no peak of death, but fantasy is beautiful, and reality is cruel. Even if Zanaki Kenpachi does not go to Bawant, Ichino's Maki will go to Zanaki Kenpachi. Hee, Bavin. Urahara Kazuki chuckled while studying what he was doing, and did not pay attention to it. After all, it is too much for the opponents to go to this level, and it may be Saraiti's the captain has this kind of thinking, so that's why Bavint in the original book can make a big noise in CO Lingting. Of course, not all captains are like this. Some of them have a strong sense of responsibility, and the one-strand Oye Wolf Village Zojun went to hunt down Bawant in person, and the 10th team captain Hitsugaya Toshiro was also on the way. Ranju, it's better for you to play this time. People in the Soul Society may not know how powerful you are. If you don't act like this, you may get rusted. Lu Chengkong suddenly said to Matsumoto Ranju. Just rely on them. Is it worth my shot? Matsumoto Ranju smiled confidently but coquettishly, his tone full of confidence in his own strength and disdain for Bavint. If their leader gets all the purification seals of the Soul world, and the entire spiritual child in the Soul world is so full, it is also a good sandbag. Lu Chengkong smiled. The most powerful among his wives besides Bachanliu were Luanju and Sifunyuan Yei. The status of the Soul world, he felt that it was time for Matsumoto Ranju to take action. You must know that if Matsumoto Ranju's Zanpakuto ability is known, it will be as shocking as when Yaichi's Zanpakuto was known, especially Yamamoto Old Man and Hiyori, who have the strongest Zanpakuto of the flame and ice types. Fanya and the two would be even more surprised if they knew about it. 540 Goodbye young Mori Dao. Since my husband said so, then I'll take the right to entertain. I usually have a fight with Yi when I'm bored. I also want to see if he's a good free sandbag like you said. Matsumoto Ranju smiled slyly, held Lu Chengkong's right hand, and let the two huge meatballs on his chest stick to Lu Chengkong's right hand. The feeling of flesh-to-flesh contact made Lu Chengkong very comfortable. Under the service of Matsumoto Ranju's two huge meatballs, Lu Chengkong and Matsumoto Ranju were chatting and laughing and soon came to the fourth team. Needless to say, Lu Chengkong came here either to look for bourgeoisie or something. It's time to eat. Although Matsumoto Ranju's cooking skills are no less than that of bourgeoisie, the cooking styles of the two girls have their own characteristics. It's just two different routes. After all, Chinese cuisine is extensive and profound. Lu Chengkong has a little bit of fur. It depends on the two women's own understanding and improvement. Of course, there are many Chinese cuisines. Try different styles and tastes. Food. Lu Chengkong is also happy. It's weird, where is the leader of Uno Hanalai? Matsumoto Ranju also noticed Hina Momo. She didn't know about Hina Momo. At first glance, Matsumoto Ranju, who is so pitiful, seemed to be suffering from a serious illness, felt pity in his heart. After all, Lu Chengkong himself said that if he didn't know about Xiaozentao, he would just look at it. At this time, she couldn't help but hold her in her arms and take good care of her. Are you looking for me? Ranju. Bourgeoisie came out of nowhere, which shocked Matsumoto Ranju. When they were bored, they often discussed cooking skills and learned from each other, so the two sides also compared familiar. Yeah, Captain Unohana, but she seems to be a little weird. What's the matter? Matsumoto Ranju patted his first altitude and said after relaxing. Did you say her? She was hypnotized by Lan Ran using Jinghua Shuiyu. To be honest, she is also a poor person. Bourgeoisie had a compassionate smile on her face, making the people around her feel as comfortable as the spring breeze. That's not pretending it's the temperament that she was born with, not something that can be cultivated the day after tomorrow. With the explanation of, Matsumoto Ranju also roughly understood what was going on. He heard about her former friends, grew up together from a young age, and even sacrificed her life to protect her many times when Hitsugaya shot. His expression became a little weird, and the pity in his heart disappeared. Comparing her friend Ichimaru Jin and Hinamori Momo, it seems that the gap between the two is really big. One is a person who seeks revenge for friends and relatives at all costs, even if they risk the world to do nothing. One is like Hinamori Dao. If it is really like what Uno Hanalai said, then Hinamorita doesn't seem to be worth pity. After all, even friends like Nisafaya can swing their knives against each other. Who else is there? Can't swing a knife. I found that her psychology is actually very contradictory, and it's not all her fault. She can see that she is not the kind of hypocritical person. On the contrary, she is still a simple girl, but it is destined to be him in the face of a deep-minded person like Aizen. The sadness of Aizen, coupled with the constant influence and hypnosis of Aizen's Kyoka Suzuki, it is not bad that she did not kill Tushiro with a knife. Maojawali's words made Lu Chengkong stunned for a moment, and he felt that he seemed too extreme before, and his evaluation of the young Sentao was indeed insufficient. Such a god of death said so, as if he really lacked what he thought. In all fairness, Hinatao is indeed a kind person. Even if Aizen rescued him, it is impossible for him to forget his roots and start with Hitsugaya, who has been his friend and family member for many years. To play with Hina Sendao between applause is simply a matter of grasping, and he has also been hypnotized by Jinghua Shuiyu. With this idea, Lu Chengkong also changed his mind towards Hina Sentao. Although he didn't have much affection, he didn't dislike it as much as before. At the same time, Lu Chengkong also remembered something and immediately said to Ujawali. Godmother, you have also seen Aizen's Jinghua Shuiyu, were you really hypnotized at that time? To be honest, with his understanding of Ujawali and her assessment of her unfathomable strength, how could the level of dying be hypnotized by the hypnotized Hanalai? Even if the hypnosis is really successful, Maojawali's strength should be able to crack Jinghua Shuiyu. After all, she has lived for so many years. What kind of ability and what kind of Zanpakuto has never been seen before? If you're talking about being hypnotized, I was indeed hypnotized by Aizen's Kyoka Suzuki. Anahakare nodded and admitted. I am also a god of death. I have hands and feet just like you. I am not an omniscient and almighty god. It is impossible to know everything, but to make predictions of everything in advance. You can't decipher Jinghua Shuiyu. Lu Chengkong looked at Maojawali in disbelief. If someone in the soul realm could crack Jinghua Shuiyu perfectly, in his opinion, it was only Zanaki Kenpachi. Only the person in front of him who has been making him unable to figure out the details, and who is evaluated by Sophie as the world of death, is equivalent to Sophie's death in the world of One Piece, King of Pirates. He does not believe that the flower is really true. Will be recruited. If this is the case, Ujawali is not worthy of such attention. Hee, I think you misunderstood what I mean. I can't predict everything. What I just said was just that I was hypnotized by Jinghua Shuiyu, but it doesn't mean that I couldn't crack it, and I didn't see through it. In fact, it was the first time in Aizen. I already noticed something was wrong when I used Jinghua Shuiyu on me. Remember what I said to you before. The source of all the powers of the god of death is the soul. Kyoka Shuiyu is equivalent to casting a layer of energy on the five senses of the soul, so that the hypnotized person will see and hear according to the thoughts of the hypnotized person. He wants to be seen by the hypnotized person. 2. To hear, to feel everything. But when my soul is so strong that this layer of energy can't affect my soul at all, then the hypnosis of Kyoka Suigetsu will lose its effect, and even if Aizen wants to use Kyoka Suigetsu to deal with me, it will definitely be cracked by me and will be backlashed. The mirror flower water moon will lose all effect on me.